coming, guys. Please keep that coming. But I am joined today by both Chip and Dirty Dave. I'm CT, and today we got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of talk lately from these developers listening to players, but are they actually listening? Are they just saying the right things when they need to? We got Todd Howard's breakdown of his interviews that happened over these past couple weeks. We really want to jump into that as you guys. Anyone that's watched our show before knows we're huge Bethesda heads. The Crimson Desert divide between us is kind of closing, but the industry has gotten a lot wider. Even a little teaser, IGN might be changing their review or asking permission to. So we'll jump into a little bit of that. Boys and I rolled into some marathon. We'll discuss that as well. And last but not least, talk a little bit of PlayStation on the downfall and Xbox rising up. I know what we're going to say. The console warriors are going to crush me for saying that, especially being the PlayStation guy, but we'll tear all that apart in a little bit. But without further ado, Chip, how you doing, brother? How's this week been? And you excited to talk a little bit about games today? I know you're excited about some Bethesda.
I am, and well, we'll get into it. There's caution with that excitement, but it's been a great week. A good last weekend. They had a monster truck, Hot Wheels Glow and Fire monster truck show here at the JPJ near where I live. So I took my son, my wife went out there, and he just had a blast watching that stuff. So it was really fun. He's
That's
back
awesome.
in the soccer practice, so getting out there and getting in the community feels good. Living out in the country sometimes, it's nice to get out there with a bunch of people and see them go play and have a good time. So things have been really good on the family end. On the gaming end, it's also been really good. I think we got a lot of good topics to talk about. I've gotten some good playtime in Crimson Desert, some good playtime in Marathon, and some of this news is just a little wild. So I'm excited to get into it and get y'all's thoughts on it.
Before we continue, you got to tell us a little more about the monster trucks. Did they have like the classics, or was it all Hot Wheels themed, like you said?
The majority, I think they had 8 monster trucks in total. The majority, 7 out of 8, were like the Hot Wheel themed. I guess they have
cool.
a show that they do Hot Wheels monster trucks. So like they recreated those. And they had Bigfoot, which is one of the OGs that was there as well.
Remember seeing that as a kid. I don't know if you remember that when Dad would take us to those monster truck shows back in the day. So that's cool.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. This was indoors, which was a little wild too. It was in the JPJ arena, and it was like a competition between all the trucks, which was pretty cool. Like jumps, wheelies, donuts. Then they had a freestyle, but in between they brought out like motocross bikes, and these guys were doing some crazy tricks, and it was a fun family event to go to. And you know, he's 6 years old. He was having the time of his life up there watching all this stuff. So we had a blast.
That's so awesome. I love that. I really do. I think that'd have been cool to be at. I know I was busy. But I'll touch that in a second. Dave, how you doing, my friend? How's this week been treating you?
Things have been going good, boys. I've got no complaints. Definitely going off the title of our podcast, it's been a little bit more grind phase than game phase. I haven't got as far as I'd like to in Crimson Desert. I've been wanting to get lost in an open world game, and I just haven't been able to scramble enough time. But maybe this weekend might be different. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And I know we'll get into later with some marathon, but as you boys know, and our listeners could be as brokenhearted as we are. I never made it to level 25 to get into the cryo archive, and you know, that's another thing that this weekend it might be different. There might be more time, but I know we're gonna get into that a little bit of what they're requiring people to do in marathon, and if that had led to some of the players dropping off or not. But you know, family's happy, everyone's happy and healthy, and you know, I'm excited to talk about some of these topics with you boys. How's it been going for you, brother?
It's been good, and don't worry, I'm gonna get you a 25 this year. This weekend. I'm sorry, because I'm gonna send you one of these funnels.
Maybe this year.
gonna send you one of these funnels with like 5 white monsters. So I'm gonna have you ready to go when we get ready, either Friday or Saturday.
No,
But
I mean, I actually this will be a little behind the scenes, but I think I've got a little window tomorrow. I've thought about this. Hit the early gym session. I could still come home. Might be able to squeeze in about an hour if I can get to 25 before you know the 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 boys are on. Save it for Friday night or Saturday night. I'm factoring this in to see if we can make it happen because we got to know about this cryo archive and if it's going to be here to stay or not.
before I talk about how everything's been going on my end, just no, I'll save a cryo archive because we're gonna have
Yeah,
a marathon
no,
on our
let's
docket.
tell me about your life. Let's save the marathon. I already messed it up.
No, you're good, brother. You missed it, Stan. I told him I was going to send him that American Eagle funnel that we used at my wedding, and just give him like 3 white monsters, so he's amped up and ready for archive this weekend. Like I know you guys with the kids, you're super busy and it's gonna be hard, but don't worry. I'm gonna send you one too, Stan. I'm gonna send you one right down the road. Sorry, Chip. I'm still calling you Stan. We
Chip
can't.
and
It's been
Stan,
too
yeah,
long.
they're interchangeable. I go by both.
But for me, boys, like I said last weekend, we March is like an extreme busy season for me, and just ton of events, heavy weekends, all different kinds of things. But successful month, knocked out a bunch of great stuff. Team did great, did a bunch of like different training stuff like that. So, but the best part about it is I hit now a nice little quiet pocket, and I have been off the past couple days and have a nice little 4-day weekend lined up. Cannot wait, extremely excited.
Ooh.
And it's funny, I was off today, but got 0 gaming in because, as Dave alluded to, the grind has been taken over. We did get some time in. We'll talk about it. We got some marathon time in with the boys on Friday. I got like maybe 3 or 4 runs throughout the weekend, all rook runs because I decided to run with some good stuff that we won and lost everything as per usual. Put a little bit more time in Crimson Desert and a little bit by a little bit of time, probably another hour into Crimson Desert and then like another hour into Dragonkin. So a little bit of stuff here and there. So I was able to get some good gaming in here and there with the busyness, but you know how life works. But the good news is I'm hoping if everything lines up after, like you said, Dave, I'll hit that early workout, knock out a couple of chores, and then the evening should be pretty free. Taking the wife out on a date Saturday evening after we go see my awesome nephew Jackson play some soccer on Saturday. So we got some good Easter plans lined up that I'm excited about. The Nick and the family are going to come join me. See, I called you all 3 by all 3 of your names. We had this briefing prior to this thing, and I cannot follow anything. I'm ashamed. I'm going to start getting that bell from Game of Thrones and ring it at myself. But they're going to come down Sunday for a little Easter Sunday fun with us, so we're excited about that as well. But yeah, so life's been really good. Family's good. The boys are good. For those who don't know, I got 2 corgis. As the listeners know, they've made several appearances on the show. But they were great. I took them like first thing in the morning on my first day off, took them on like about a 3-mile hike, and Crunch was about to like just give out on me. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. He was just stopped moving and kept laying down. I was like, dude, we're almost there. You're a dog. Be a dog, please. But yeah, so that's me. So without further ado, boys, like I said, we've Mortisanal Gaming. I'm sorry if I messed up that. A great YouTuber did an interview with Todd Howard. IGN also did an interview. We're not going to read it like piece by piece to you guys. We're kind of just going to pick some themes we heard. And for anyone that's listened to us, it's almost, I would say, even back to Nick and Dave Save the World when I did that, Bethesda always seems to rear its head into 90% of our conversations. I would say probably more episodes than not have at least one Bethesda reference in it. And then Nick and I go, and Dave's like, you two stop. We have a whole show to do. And but now he has given us free reign today to go on it, and we'll probably just talk 5 minutes and run out of stuff. I was kidding out. But no, I really want to jump into this with you both. I know you guys have both listened to it. We also all listened to Mr. Matty Plays as well, and he kind of did a nice little breakdown for us, which made it a little more digestible to hear and kind of get his take on it. But the key feature of this episode, if the title didn't give it away, not is are they listening? Are these developers listening, or are they regurgitating talking points, or are they actually taking this feedback we get them, and do the answers in these interviews reiterate that, or we kind of just is it just PR speak and we're going to get the same stuff we've always gotten, maybe with a little bit of cleanup here and there? So, my opening question to you both, and I'll start with you, Chip. When Todd Howard says Bethesda listens to the players, do you actually believe that?
I mean, if he listened, he wouldn't wait 15 years to drop Elder Scrolls 6. You know what I mean? I think above all else, what me and I'm speaking for myself as a Bethesda fan, as a huge Elder Scrolls fan, is I just want to play the game, right? I mean, just look at the size, and of course, we'll get into this conversation later, but it, it, Crimson Desert dropped, right? And it's a massive world, right? So it's achievable to drop these games, and Bethesda is a major studio. Like, I would have preferred them drop Elder Scrolls 6 a few years after Skyrim. Maybe it's not going to be all these crazy envisions of what they want it to be, but then make a 7, make another game. You know what I mean? It's people are going to pick it up, they're going to play it, they're going to love it. It doesn't have to be this game that waits and waits and waits and waits, because on the other hand, now the expectations are through the roof. Like, if they don't deliver, they're kind of setting themselves up for failure.
Yeah, that's a great point. I
It's
mean, like you said, it's 15 years, man. Like, we made this joke earlier on in these in our podcast. It's like we've all lived full life, like a bunch of different life events have happened for all of us. Like,
right.
I believe we all got married. You two had kids. I jumped from across the country, moved jobs twice. You know what I mean? Like, we all served. We all did our time in the military, deployed, got out,
Right.
started a life as civilians. Like, in 15 years, it's like, imagine, just for the sake of argument, if Jackson was born the day Skyrim came out. And then how old you know what I'm saying? He would be probably, by the time, I would say, if we're lucky, Elder Scrolls 6, will come out probably
He'd be out of the house
27,
with
28.
a job by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out.
So he might even have a full college education by the time we're talking about this thing. But no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to.
No, you're fine. But that's my frustration. It's like it's hard to say with Bethesda if they listen, because I mean, I guess the last thing that you could talk about would be Starfield that they released. And I really didn't put much play time into it, but it felt like the game wasn't completely fleshed out. They started adding some more things, and then they drop a $30 DLC pack for a game that people are already frustrated about. And Bethesda's known for some of the money grab, with especially Fallout 76 is horrible about it. But even creation clubs, and now look, I won't say that that's exactly a money grab, but that's supporting independent developers. But when you have an independent developer or modder, excuse me, that makes the Knights of the Nine armor, or something that could easily be in Skyrim as like a homage to the people that loved Oblivion. You know what I mean? Like, if it's freelance content, yes, but you pay 15 or whatever it is, $5 to get that armor, and the quest is you go fight some random guy wearing it on a mountain to get it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to say if they're listening, man, because I think more than all else, everybody that loves these games just wants to play another one. So I think that's the biggest thing that people ask for from them, is just drop the game. Well, stop dumping money into 76. You can still support it, but it's almost like they've just taken the route of making sure ESO stays alive, making sure 76 stays alive, make sure all these mobile games are still getting updates and content. But it's like, where is your, I wouldn't say payback, but like, where's your love for the single player players that made this studio what it is today by just loving the content and digesting the content? Like, that's where it all started. You know what I mean? It didn't start with an MMO. It didn't start with a mobile game. It started with Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind, and people love those types of games. So, as anything, when you know a developer is really good at making those games, that's what you want more of.
No, you made a great bunch of great points. And I want to pull out all those in a second. But Dave, real quick, the same question for you as well. When Bethesda says they are listening to players, do you actually believe that?
All I can say is we hope that's the case. But I try to. I try. You guys know, and all of us are the same. We try to steer away from the negativity, but it's hard to look away from the common trend of we saw with Halo where it's like where they were like, we know what you want more than you do, and every studio is kind of takes those ups and downs of, um, I think Starfield kind of felt that hit where it didn't perform as well as they would have liked. So hopefully now they're like, okay, let's listen to these guys. So, but we'll see. As far as what you're talking about, Nick, with like they are focusing on more of like live service. Let's sell DLC packs or cosmetic packs and things like that. And but it's like, yeah, they're because they trying to keep all those people paid for all these years between these big titles. But it is interesting. Like, what if, like you said, like what if they just came out with a big title every 3 or 4 years? Like we used to see so much uh faster turnaround. I feel we were spoiled in the 360 days. You'd get I mean, how far apart was it between Halo 1, 2, and 3? Not that many years, and we would get all these like, and I know it's a first person shooter versus this is a different category, but still it's starting to get out. It's starting to get crazy. GTA in the same category. It's been a crazy amount of years. Like you're talking about, people are raising kids before the next one drops. It's um I don't know. It's like, do those fans keep waiting and waiting? Sure, there's a lot of people that will, but some people just grow out and grow up. It's like I played Skyrim in high school, and now I don't got time for this next one. It's been too long. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this studio, keeps pushing out, greatness, or if like every great empire, they might fall too.
Again, you made some great points as well, and I think we'll probably pull those layers back a little bit as we continue. But for me as well, when I'm asking myself that same question, I love that you both said that there is that hopefulness there is that thought process that, like, we hope that's the case, right? We truly hope they're listening to players, making those adjustments based on that. But real quick, can you guys hear my dog? He's like chewing his bone like right up against the wall.
No,
You guys are
you're
good? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Sorry about that. I was like, I don't want to be talking. You just hear crunching in the background.
Actually, put the mic closer. I prefer to hear this.
Yeah, give him his 20 seconds of fame.
Right. He has some things he wants to say about Bethesda as well, and he has been sitting long enough. No, you would really hope that that's the case. You really truly hope that they are really listening to players' feedback, making these adjustments, wanting to do these things. But like you said, it's hard to believe that when, and I'm going to throw a few things out there. The way Starfield's DLC came out, I don't know if you guys played it. Yes, it gave us what we were asking for, handcrafted experience in a more tighter environment, a little more exploration added to it. But story was weak, didn't really have any impact in the end game. It kind of, like, you know what I mean? It's almost like, oh, you just kind of patched this in, and then the takeaway you hear was, oh, we should have added the Dune buggy with the DLC. The Dune buggy wasn't the problem. And then you release the Dune buggy, and then your DLC isn't in an environment in which the Dune buggy works well in. So it's like, you know what I mean? And then don't even the Fallout 4 anniversary and New Vegas anniversary editions that came out, like, you know what I mean? And like, Nick, and I would love if you could pull the pricing up on those, but it's like you send these things out. Yes, they're the ultimate editions, but there's nothing. And you spent the Fallout day to tell us all that, and then not to their own fault, but then like the hype built around that countdown on the Amazon show ends up being the nothing burger, which granted, if we would have put if we would actually thought about it for a second, we should all realize that was never going to be anything. But
$60.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like it's just that kind of stuff. It's like, do you listen to us yet? You price gouge, and then I will say it. I feel like they price gouge, and then yeah. So the NCR Power Armor shows up on the show, and then yes, you have it on Fallout 76 immediately after. I don't even know how much it was. I would assume $20 if it follows
30.
the 30. So there you go. Like, so you're charging us $30 for a skin. And well, granted, they're not the only ones guilty of this. Let's not just throw rocks at them. It's everyone. Blizzard is another very, very guilty party of it. But
And
do they
this real
listen?
quick, not to cut you off, but this
No, go ahead.
anniversary edition thing, right? Who if they liked Fallout hasn't bought the game already and played all the DLCs? Like, I remember for Oblivion, I cannot think of how far it was away from the DLCs as they came out, but I felt like it was relatively quick once all the DLCs were released and Anniversary Edition was available in the stores. Like, that is more incentive while the game's still pretty hot, while it's still a topic. Then it makes sense. Amp up the price a little bit, but you get all DLCs. Everything comes with it. You don't have to worry about anything. You get the full package right off the bat. Like, you're dropping it so much later and at full price. I don't know who's buying that.
Well, no, and then it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, you're taking advantage. You're utilizing the momentum from the show to try to resell something that's been sold multiple times. To your point, anyone that's played these games has all that stuff. And like, yeah, we're all excited. Like, I want to play Fallout. And you're trying to like capitalize on that. I can't blame you for it. You're a business, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth as a consumer and as a fan of the studio and of all the games. And back to Dave's point, like the dropping of how quick it was. It was like, if I remember, it was like Oblivion, Knights of the Nine, Shivering Isles, and it was like Fallout 3, Far Harbor, New Vegas. So it was like almost like a rapid fire of all these great experiences. And it goes to my other thing, like, are you listening to us yet? I still personally feel as if Todd himself, or if it's not him, there's too much gatekeeping in that for those IPs. And I get being proud of your IPs and everything, but if you can't generate the output in which the fans are saying they want, and you're part of Xbox Studios, like, utilize the talent there. You're not doing that. So how are you listening to me if you're not doing those things, or listening to the universal eye? You know what I mean? And it's, so I want to believe it. And I think maybe in certain areas they do, but like I'm leaning more towards the PR responses, and we'll never get an interview with Todd. So sorry, just kidding now. But no, it's like, but no, I really think, all jokes aside, I want to believe it, but more and more I feel as if they're proving they don't. And maybe I eat crow and Fallout 70, Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's immaculate, does everything we've been asking. But like, even you go from the difficulty of I don't know, you played Oblivion Remake, and the difference between it's like Adept and Master is insanity. And all they do is just make the enemies more spongy, make your attacks do less, and that's kind of their answer to it. But I think about it a lot. I love the slider perspective they used on Starfield. That was pretty cool. I like that you kind of adjust the game as to what you want, right? People like that. Now, if they don't utilize that in Elder Scrolls and they utilize the Oblivion format or maybe the Skyrim format, is that listening, or is it kind of just doing what they want to do, or whatever's easier? But on this same vein, like, if they're listening to the feedback, but do we feel like they're actually acting on it? Like, to our point, and to all of our points, I feel like we're all kind of coming from the same area. It's like, you're saying you're listening and you want to keep crafting these experiences, but everything you're putting out isn't. And then the times, like, I don't know if you knew this, Elder Scrolls Blade, I believe, is going offline very soon. That mobile game, Blades, excuse me. And it's like that. I remember when that came out, that pissed me off, because it was like, I believe, like 4 or 5 years after Skyrim. And it's like, this is not what we wanted. Now, I can't fault you, because Fallout, what was this, Fallout Shelter? Shelters was a huge success, but it was like accompanied with Fallout 4, if I believe. So it's like, yeah, you get this big, the big single player game, and hey, here's this little mobile thing that you might love this, and it seemed like a bunch of people did at first, and then again, over monetized. Fallout 76 is, I know you were, you got the bug a little bit ago, but it's so overly monetized. Like, the Atomic Shop. You get like Fallout. I don't know what's it called, the subscription. It's like
Fallout
something.
first.
Yeah, Fallout first, and it's like, now granted, monetization seems to be the way of the future with all these different things and shops and all
Especially a
that
live
stuff.
service game like that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and I try to like stay my hand, because it's like they're not the only ones guilty of it. Everyone has shops. WoW has always had a subscription fee. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
that does it. Elder Scrolls Online, for the sake of argument, also does as well. But where do you see them, if any at all, do you see them acting on what the consumers are asking for, what the fans are asking for? Do you see that in anything recently, or anything you've been playing, or in our older games, or even in the remake that came out last year? Starting with you, Chip. Sorry.
I mean, I think the remake was a step in the right direction, right? Like, uh, I've wanted forever to get an Oblivion remake, and so I did really appreciate that, and I had a lot of fun playing that. But
I
it's
think
like I
you
said,
can't
man.
go wrong. You can't go wrong with bringing back fan favorites.
Right.
We've seen it's common across a lot of IPs right now. This is the third time we're about to get Halo this year, and it's like, well, it works. We're gonna buy it. People are gonna buy it.
Right. So I mean, it's like that's such an easy one, and they have such a great catalog to be able to do that. Now, do I only want that? No, I'm definitely a nostalgic gamer, so I would play all of them if they dropped them. But like I said, it's ultimately tough to, it's kind of, I would say sad, but it's like, I saw some more conversation, and I saw that Todd Howard was talking about Elder Scrolls 6. And to be honest, I didn't even get excited about it that much, because I knew it was going to be the standard. It'll be ready when it's ready, and be patient for it. And I don't want to
Mm.
talk about it in depth yet. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm almost just like, I'm tired of that news, right? I want it to be, um, give people something. I mean, I don't know what they have intended, that they can't release any type of um intel on it. You know what I mean? I don't. I think that would be a good way to determine what gamers think, right? At least drop the region you're going to do it in. See what people say. See if they're excited. Now they're probably way too far in it to change it, but you know what I mean? It's just like it's hard for me to think that they're listening. And this is specifically for Elder Scrolls 6, but it's hard for me to think that they're listening to any feedback about it when there's so little known about it, right? Um, yeah, it's just it's tough with them, man. Like, I'll tell you, I'll be excited when the next trailer comes out and I actually get to see a little bit more about it. That'll start getting the blood flowing again for Elder Scrolls for me. But it's just been so long. It's been so long. So it's just like, I've played so many great things in between then and now. And you know what I mean? I also worry, let's say it's fantastic. You finish the game. Man, Bethesda knocked it out of the park. 20 years later until I play the next one. I mean, I hate to be like sounding like this, but it's like there's other studios out there killing it too. Like, you know, it's
Like
to me,
Capcom just cranking out stuff,
yeah,
obviously different.
gems. It's like just to I wouldn't say to stay relevant, but yeah, kind of like you gotta start putting some work into what people want to play.
Do you also, like, when I talked about them kind of gatekeeping, do you feel like the same? Or are you not too worried about that?
And you're talking about gatekeeping in terms of like what's going on.
Well, not allowing other studios to get in their IP, like when they allowed Obsidian to make New Vegas, and then that's like regarded as the best, Fallout game. Do you think
Yeah, I
there's a
mean,
fear of that gatekeeping, and want kind of avoid all these great studios they could throw their IP at, and they can make different iterations? Like I've said a million times, like a tactical RPG similar to Wasteland 3.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a great decision. Look, if you're a developer, which we know Bethesda is, that really wants to let games cook for a long time, share the IP. And, at the very minimum, if you don't want it to be tarnished, have final say. They don't have to release anything before it's approved, but allow more developers to get their hands on this stuff and make different things with it. And then you let your big titles cook. That's fine. Because if you were to allow these other developers and these other studios to drop a tactical Elder Scrolls or tactical Fallout or, you know, whatever, a third person Fallout, you could make like a horror survival like you did Resident Evil type thing. You could do something like that with Fallout. There's so many different things you could do because of how broad these games are. Yeah, I think there probably is a fear, but I think that if they went about it the right way, it's easily manageable and it would take the heat off of them with these long drops because at least you're getting something that's got that world that people want to get back into.
Well, yeah, you're feeding the audience. It's giving you that time and that space to continue to do what you want to do. And again, like with excuse me, Starfield not hitting the way we thought it would, it doesn't help at all, because we all, every one of us that played Starfield probably still told ourselves like, well, this is going to make the next Fallout and Elder Scrolls be years away because they've been spending all this time on this space game. But again, you always want developers to make what they want to make, but it's also like, but then we want you to make what you want to make, but we also want to wait 15 years for a sequel. I think there
Yeah.
could be both things, to your point. And Dave, I want to get you in on this now too. Like a dual-sided question. Do you think they're actually acting on feedback, or just kind of, well, we acknowledge it and moving forward? And then how do you feel about that gatekeeping comment that I made as well?
I'll start with the gatekeeping. I think it would be beneficial bringing in. We've seen other big IPs do that. Have some other side studios come in and assist to get games out faster and stuff. But also, in that same sentence, it's like, well, it sucks. We have to. It's such a long time to wait, but how many millions and millions, billions of dollars are they going to make when they do drop it? There's something to that. The whatever you want to call it, fashionably late, or forcing people to wait. It does. We're sitting here talking about it right now. It does build that suspense. We got GTA coming out at the end of the year. They've done the same approach where it's been kind of quiet. We know very little about the game, and it's what 7-8 months away or something like that. Like it's they're trying to just do that mic drop moment as well. But it does come with risk, right? Because everyone, we had the build up for Starfield. Bethesda has so much behind their name, and it wasn't. Yeah, I know people still still made money, a lot of money, and people put hours into it, but what if we see that with GTA as well? Like, what if it's not, doesn't live up to it? Elder Scrolls 6, they wait all this time, and what if people are like, man, Skyrim was just so much better? Like it could all fail. So I don't know. It's interesting.
That's a great point too. Like, you build up that hype, but if you don't meet the moment, then
Right.
it's even more detrimental. And it's like, and again, like, yeah, GTA is doing the same, not doing the same thing, but following the same path of this massive gap between 5 and 6, and and that's where my concern is. It's like, it's funny too, Elder Scrolls 5 to 6, it's like this big gap. I guess
Yeah.
they're scared of the 6th iteration, I guess. But it's like 15 years is just egregious, man. Like, it's like, I get taking your time and wanting to build this way, and now it's granted that everyone's working on it now and we should be getting it soon. But like, it depends. I'll be excited for it, but I would have been way more excited for it as a younger gamer. You know what I mean? When those games were so special and they were meaning so much. But since that game, there's been so many, I don't want to say better, but people that have done it not a little bit, have done it better. I look at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, like, what a fantastic Scrolls-like. You can call it a Scrolls-like. Um, just like I'm playing it the whole time. I'm thinking, damn, man, imagine this was, you know, well, especially for that, and that's been like some news lately. Imagine this like in a Lord of the Rings world, akin to Elder Scrolls. You know what I mean? In that
Yeah.
fantasy setting, but with these guys doing it, Warhorse doing this stuff. You know, and then I look at Cyberpunk. You know, yeah, it had a rough start at the beginning, but the game it is now, in comparison, you know, that it, you know, maybe compare it more to Starfield, just in the sense of like it's more futuristic sci-fi, but like that in comparison, you know, it's like I've always loved Bethesda, but like my love has gotten a little more callous as we continue. I didn't finish the Oblivion remake. I played it for a little while, did Knights of the Nine, you know, a little bit of Shivering Isles here and there, you know, did the arena, of course, but it's also like again, as a younger man, as a younger gamer, I would have been way more excited for Elder Scrolls 6. When Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, again, I say it depends on what else is coming out that year. You know what I mean? It might not in a time, you can say this, I know you believe this too, Nick. There was a time, no matter what year that game would drop, it'd be my game of the year. No questions asked. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what else was coming out. But like my tastes have evolved as I've gotten older, and things like that I didn't really veer towards, I now get closer to. Like I'd written off Resident Evil since Resident Evil 4, and then Resident Evil Requiem right now is my game of the year in comparison to everything else I've played. You know, and I've loved a lot of the games I've played. Um, little, you know, and it's like Kingdom Come
Oh,
Deliverance 2 was very special to me, and I'll pass it to you right now, Nick. It was so special to me because of how deep that world was and how each character and was that you encountered and the story and it's like, yeah, like you can love Skyrim, and it's not fair to compare a game from 2011 2025, but it's like in comparison to Starfield, like I would be more excited, and this is like kind of like I might be rambling a little bit here, and I apologize, and then Nick jump in, but I would be more excited if for sure, and I knew this without a doubt, and I had to make this choice as well. If Warhorse was going to make a Lord of the Rings game, I would choose that game over Elder Scrolls 6. That's how I feel after all these years, all this waiting, and what I played of what Warhorse put together and the passion I feel in that in comparison to, and we'll jump into it, into what I feel like Bethesda is now.
yeah. Yeah. It's not a crazy take, dude. I mean, then that's kind of what I was alluding to with what I've talked about with some of these other games I've been playing. Some have been fantastic, man. It's like, I'm kind of wanting to see more and more of that. Something I did want to pick at too, which Dave said, which is a good point, this mic drop moment. And I think it's something to think about too, that Rockstar does kind of follow the same path. I mean, if you look at Red Dead Redemption 2, it dropped in 2018. It was highly, highly successful. The first Red Dead Redemption was highly successful. Grand Theft Autos have always been highly successful. And you have Bethesda, who's dropped Fallouts and Elder Scrolls and all highly successful. I wonder if a part of it too is maybe, both of these studios know that they have the formula down. So maybe it's a quality of life for the developers that work there. You don't have to be PRing all the time. You don't have to be working day in and day out for the game. I mean, it is strange that both those studios with very similar capacities both make kind of similar games, open world games with a lot of interactions with NPCs, a lot of choices, a lot of things you could do, very story narrative driven. I wonder if there is something else, that there is that's only two studios of all the different studios that makes games, but it is a kind of a trend between those two that they do let the games bake. So maybe it's not just specific that
It's a good
Bethesda
point.
doesn't know the direction or what the fans want. Maybe it's just once you get that big and know your games are going to sell like that,
Take your
maybe
time.
why rush?
I agree with you, but Dave, I want to hear this, especially from you, what I'm about to say. But in comparison, from Red Dead Redemption 2 to Starfield, gives me way more faith in Rockstar delivering something special than it does Bethesda. Because
Yeah.
I agree with Dave. I made this comment about Crimson Desert last week, and it's not like a must play. This is one of the greatest games ever, like a Red Dead Redemption 2. Like again, and I hate to do the comparison seeks the joy stuff, but it's like imagine like Bethesda came to you, Rockstar came to you, Dave, and they're like, hey, here are your options. Red Dead Redemption 3 next year or Elder Scrolls 6 next year. Which one you want? And for me, I'm like, as much as I love Elder Scrolls 6, and I would love, and I do truly love it. I'm deep in the lore. Everyone might call me a hater, but it's like I don't know necessarily if I'd pick Red Dead Redemption 3, but I would have more faith that that's going to be a high quality experience than my concerns I have that maybe Elder Scrolls 6 won't be up to snuff. And Dave, how do you think about that? Or do you think that's even a fair comparison?
Well, the question catches me at the wrong. I'm biased now because I've been feeling a pull lately to play some Rockstar stuff, and like just going back to Red Dead 2 and seeing like, hey, did I get all those achievements in the campaign? You know, because those games are so fun. And I've had an urge to go to like I was telling you guys, maybe run some GTA 5 at some point during this year if there's a little gap, just to kind of get ready for GTA 6, get back in that Rockstar sandbox mindset because it is so unique. But no, it is a tough comparison. And you guys could check the dates and stuff, but with GTA 5, I think it was 2013. So now it's gonna 2026. That's 13 years later. So they're getting
2015.
15 it was.
Yeah.
Oh, so even quicker turnaround. So yeah, I mean they're it's still wait, are you sure? Was it 2015 for the new, because they've released it multiple times.
It says initial release April 14th, 2015, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't sound right to me because I was still in the military.
No, it's 2013. Why does it say
Okay, that
I was
sounds
gonna
better.
say,
Yeah,
I remember
2013.
Some of those things. I remember being a PFC and getting that game.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. That was bad intel.
Yeah, I
on
was
my
like,
part.
there's no way because I was out by 2015. So I was
Well,
like, wait,
because
what?
it
Released
also
September 17th, 2013.
Well,
it
to
also
Dave's point too, they follow the same path and re-release the thing over and over again. And then when the
Exactly.
online came out, that was like a big thing
Yep.
too. So
It was
sorry, I didn't mean to
2013 for
cut off.
PlayStation and 360, 2014 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and 15 for Windows. And then, of course, March 2022 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
Okay.
Yeah. And it actually
crazy.
they did have significant improvements, I think. That's why I kind of wanted to go back, because of course I beat it back in the day on the 360. And it'd be cool to see what the Series X, how it looks with GTA 5. But anyways, I'll get way too sidetracked. I don't know. I think I would take, like, if I like to answer your question, I think I would take the Elder Scrolls 6 right now. I don't know though.
You're gonna tell Arthur Morgan that?
Well,
Or John Marston?
It is it is tough to pick. I think, but I guess I agree with you. I would have more faith in Rockstar than Bethesda right now, because I think
I guess that's where my question was stemming from. Who do you have the most faith in delivering the next level experience? So,
and Rockstar, they've stayed fresh in the GTA Online. They're testing all these concepts in GTA Online that'll end up being in GTA 6. I don't know that Bethesda, can do that or would do, like, how can they go back and see, like, oh, would this work? Test around and mess around in Skyrim, for the next. I think Rockstar's doing it right. They're kind of experimenting with a game that's making a ton of money every month.
No, and I think the one thing and this will bring us into our next section discussing it because Nick alluded to it earlier, but the modding community, and that people can make careers off modding, these Bethesda games and making these great experiences. But and I can understand Bethesda charging for them because I guess those creators get that money as well. I think it's part of their creator program. But do you believe when we're talking about modders, and that's what I was taking from what you were saying, Dave, is I think they've learned that'll definitely be a part of Elder Scrolls 6 and a big part of what they build for it, so that they're learning that aspect of it. So it's like, are they going to take this is going to be a little bit of a shady comment. Are they going to take the monetization practices they've learned from 76 and all the modding from everything else and just sling that in there with some Unreal Engine 5? We'll see. But and I'm a little jaded just because I've been waiting so long for this, and I'm glad you kind of adjusted how my question sounded. It was more, who do we have more faith in to deliver the next best experience? And it's like, me and Nick have been dreaming about Elder Scrolls 6 since we beat Skyrim all those years ago, So it's like a frustration building up when I talk about it. But so when I talk about the modding community, and my question will lean this way, and then just run with it, and I'll start again with you, Chip. Do you think Bethesda leans too much into what the modding community is going to do for their game, and kind of like leave us with, because granted, I say this a little half-heartedly, because I do believe Starfield was probably one of their strongest narratives that in one of their single player games, playing it through full, and had some great levels in there. Still don't want to go into it deep, don't want to do any spoilers, but some, messing with time and having these different perspectives and stuff, which I thought was really great. But do you think they lean too much into that and don't explain it enough? Or because, and also, I feel like if you're buying these things, and I'm just speaking for my own, I feel like it shouldn't disable trophies and achievements either. So it's like, are you leaning into it but not fully? So yeah, just kind of just modding. Give me what your thoughts are on it in general.
I know typically, so the question, do they lean on the modding community? I think so, to an extent. And this goes full circle back to the question you had about are they listening? Because a lot of the times mods for Skyrim or for Elder Scrolls games or for Fallout games that I have downloaded are typically quality of life games, or excuse me, typically quality of life um, mods. Now, Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, all of these are great examples because each one of them has something that Bethesda's not very good at doing, and that's called unofficial patches that you can get on the mod store, on the Nexus, and they fix a whole lot of issues in the game. Most of the time, these are visual issues or small little details, but Bethesda's never been very good, I would say, in my opinion, about hearing what players are saying about the game and going back and making adjustments. Now, if it's game breaking, yes, but just small quality of life changes. And we'll talk about this with Crimson Desert, but I think that Pearl Abyss is probably what I've seen recently, one of the best developers that's kind of set a standard of extremely fast turnarounds of fixing things that players are talking about so far, to the extent that they have a page on their website when they release a patch that you can go and report known issues, and they will turn around and fix those known issues as they come to light. So I think they rely on the mods for the game to stay relevant for 15 years 100%, because that's the only way you're going to inject new content in it. But I wouldn't I'd say more on the quality of life. I don't think they need to lean on it for the game to be successful. I just think that a lot of the times they don't put the kind of, the modders are listening. The modders know what the players want. You know what I mean? So it kind of fills that void to where they will insert content that people really want to see in that world. Whereas Bethesda's not going to turn around and say, oh yeah, this is probably one of the cooler cities, and you want a player home in here to store your stuff. They're not going to turn around and do that, which is not game breaking by any means, but the modders will do that. So people are more inclined to do that, and that comes with a lot of open world games to where people have different preferences. But I wouldn't say they lean on it to be successful. I just think they know they have a great modding community, so they kind of let a lot of the other stuff slide that other developers or studios don't have the luxury to do.
Do you feel like the games would be as popular without mods nowadays?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, and this is every single one I played in Skyrim, I'd say more recent, but I had access to a gaming computer at the time, and so I had the ability to go and mod that game from the beginning, and I played it all the way through and loved it. Right, so I didn't feel like I needed mods to have a great time with it. Now, if I pick it up today, I'm gonna have to, put 200 mods in it for it to be a different experience for me to
Yeah.
enjoy it again because I've just played it into the dirt. But I think they know how to create a great game. I just think that, like I said, when you have a big time gap, that's really a way to keep people coming back into it. It's a different version of DLCs that the actual developers don't have to work on, right? It makes sense why they do it, but I
No,
think
and
it
I
keeps the
haven't really
hardcore fans engaged.
No, absolutely. And I've never really engaged with the mods as much. So I kind of wanted to gear that question more towards you and Dave as well, because I mean, I don't really have anything to add to what you said, except that I agree with all the points. I think you're right. I do think that they do. I think they lean on those mods and understanding that's a big selling point for their games. And especially if people are making careers off of it, you know what I mean? Like modding these, great games and making these great quest lines and stuff like that. But I
I
just
can
hope that
tell you, I'm excited too that when Elder Scrolls 6 drops, I it I am excited to know that Bethesda has a giant modding community, because anything I don't like about the game, or if I want additions to the game, 9 times out of 10 with Bethesda, you could find it in the mod community. So it is a plus, but even if they didn't have any mods and they dropped Elder Scrolls 6, I'd buy it and play it. Is basically my point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I do like that the Creation Club is like way easier to access and utilize, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want. But
And keep
Dave,
achievements
anything?
most times with the
What's up?
Creation Club. You can keep your achievements and trophies most times with the Creation Club downloads, as opposed
Yeah, I think
to
it's like their own, right? Like the internal creations that they do, not the like it's when
sometimes.
creators make one, right?
Yeah, it's sometimes, or it's like a Bethesda supported modder that they know they're not introducing like a game breaking mod.
Okay. And no one wants achievements; they want trophies. Dave, what do you think about modders
Yeah,
and
okay.
things
We'll
like
get into
that?
that.
I I like it. If like you guys were saying, it doesn't change to like totally the core of the game. Like if you can still um, get the achievements or trophies, and I start to get skeptical when it's like, all right, at what point am I just playing a different game now? Like
Yeah.
I kind of just want to play what the developers intended. But there are cool things. I guess for me, the most experience, because I'm like you, not too much PC gaming over the years, so not a ton of time with mods. But what comes to mind for me is Halo's Forge community. You know how
Yeah.
I felt like with Infinite, they were leaning on the Forge community definitely when the game launched. It's basically all these map packs, because people were.
Well, that's what hurt it, right, Dave? Was like when if I remember, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but like when they released, Forge wasn't ready yet, right? And that's kind of like a big thing that hurt them.
Yeah, I think there was issues with it, um,
Mm.
and uh, yeah, like wasn't at launch initially, um, but people would go back, and I don't know, I don't think anyone would get compensated like the modding community would if because it's just maps. But then maybe they would pay these people that made maps, but it'd be like 343 just being like, all right, somebody remade Guardian, so we're gonna throw it into matchmaking. So it just gives them more content. So I think in those aspects, it's a good feature. But
I don't know if you saw this too. They burnt Peanut and them are replaying the old Halo 3 mods like Ice Cream Truck and Sniper
really?
Maze and stuff. So that was like on the Zeitgeist recently with those guys
Oh wow,
and seeing how fun those mods were, and I think
yeah,
you're right. Like that, the Forge community definitely makes a Halo game, just because
yeah.
playing with those physics and everything like that. But then again, it's like you bring up a great point. It's like, what if Elder Scrolls 6 releases without the Creation Club? Would people be as frustrated, or would that hurt its sales? And to Nick's point, he seems like it wouldn't, but I feel like there could be a relatively large backlash to that news if that was like a thing that came out.
Oh, I think people would be frustrated. And myself, I'm speaking personally. It's like, does that make or break the game for me? No, but it is a nice feature. Like in Fallout
Yeah.
4, it's a nice feature to like, if you want something that's not necessarily in the game, and in Skyrim as well, it adds a little bit more content, and to be able to still get your achievements is pretty nice. Um, it's just strange, I guess, a little bit how it works. Um, because it's like a pay to keep your achievements mod.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
So, my next little question, and we kind of been alluding to it through our conversation now, but after Starfield, and I'm not sure, Dave, if you jumped into Starfield. I know Nick has and I have, but after Starfield, and even if you haven't, I'm sure you've seen all the discourse and everything that came out after it and what people were saying. So it's a two-parter for you guys. And I'll again, Chip, and keep sending it over to you just because you're our Bethesda correspondent as much as I am. But after Starfield, are you confident in Elder Scrolls 6? Yes or no? And what does Bethesda have to get right with Elder Scrolls 6? Your non-negotiables. Over to you, sir.
Okay, I like this. Completely confident? No, I'm not. Um, it's Starfield was disappointing. It's probably one of the only Bethesda games that I played maybe 4 hours, and I haven't played it again. So it definitely was not for me. Do I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to follow that? No, but it's a little worrying when they drop something like that. There's a lot of different things that I didn't enjoy about that game. For Elder Scrolls 6, the non-negotiables for me is they've always been I've always really liked the um the choices. And I say choices, but like the factions, right? I want a good group of factions in this one. I'm down to have the OGs, the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild. I like to take those different routes. It adds more playability to the game, and I'm almost positive they'll put it in there. But we saw it kind of go a little bit away in Skyrim. I mean, you still had it. It was just different. The companions, and you had the College of Winterhold, but just really nailing some cool factions, because for me, the immersion level with that, when it hits right, and to be able to progress through those ranks regardless of the main story, I have no concerns about the main story. I've always really liked Bethesda's main stories throughout all of their titles, minus Starfield, because I can't give an honest assessment because I didn't play it all the way through. But those little things that you can do in that game that just really like kind of sets you with your character. When we listened to the talk with Todd Howard, he had a point about he didn't want people getting gridlocked kind of a couple hours into playing a class. I can appreciate that because I'm notorious for getting like 3 hours in and finding a cool weapon and being like, I want to play this type of class. You know what I mean? Or a
Mhm.
cool spell or whatever it is. Mr. Matty Plays said this as well, and I thought it was a really good point. I would love if they added something to where it's not as like for me, like I liked how Skyrim's class system did, and I kind of didn't. Like I loved how you could pick a class in Oblivion, and
Mhm.
like you felt like, all right, this is how my play style is going to be. So I'd like kind of back to those roots a little bit, but with the option of earning a reroll at some point, like a lot of other major titles do. You know what I mean? Spend some money and you could respec yourself and change your
Yeah.
class and stuff like that. Um, you know what I mean? I think Skyrim kind of went, I wouldn't say to the extreme, but it was like, you picked your signs in Oblivion and Morrowind. You felt like this is your character. You're really kind of, it gives a little bit more to it. To whereas Skyrim, you kind of just go touch a stepping stone here or there if you want to swap it. You
Mhm.
can ultimately play anything in the game, which, is nice, but immersion wise, it kind of, I wouldn't say it loses me, but it's not as strong. When I play an Elder Scrolls game, I want to be immersed in the world. I want to really resonate with my character. Um, Another must win for me is the region. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you look at the regions that you've played in, they've been awesome, right? Morrowind was a very cool region. Cyrodiil, very cool region. Skyrim as well. I wouldn't say I have a preference, but whichever one they pick, like lean into the lore of it. Just like, don't just drop me in here and say, this is where we're doing our next adventure, right? But Bethesda's always been very good at that, but they have to stick to their roots with what makes Elder Scrolls successful for me to be 100% sold on it. They've done it up to this point. No randomly generated areas 100%. I don't think this would be the type of game that has that, but that takes the heart out of a game you're supposed to be immersed in, right? Um Another thing for me, I mean, it's just Bethesda does all these things really well. It's just, the mechanics of everything. Stealth, make it fine tuned. Magic, make it fine tuned. Swords, all that stuff. Just to where all of the combat, no matter what route you take, feels good. I think we've all played games to where, um, you know, you have a stealth option, and I'd say Crimson Desert's an example of this, where yes, you can stealth, but it's not very viable. Like in Bethesda games, traditionally, when you do a stealth character, you can just crush the game as that, right? You know what I mean? So I don't think that they will falter on that, but just stick to the roots, man. Stick to the roots. They know how to make them successful. Don't try to go crazy with it. Don't try to add a whole bunch of different things. Don't make it extremely accessible either. Make it a little bit of a challenge. Make it fun. Don't do the difficulty sliders like you do, right? I don't want, like you spoke on, CT, like, don't make it to where my enemies are more spongy if I want it to be difficult. All right, that's something that they do a lot. Um,
Yeah, just making longer fight.
yeah, right.
That's
Just think outside the box. I think it would be really cool, and I doubt Bethesda will go this route, but like, you know, s- I guess they do that. So I'll keep it there. Yeah, just stick with the code that works. That's what I want.
Dave, same question on that. Do you still have the confidence in Elder Scrolls 6 after Starfield? And what do you believe they have to get right to be successful?
well. I think we talked about this in a previous episode. Of all these years go by, the studios, the turnover, people come and people go. It's how much of the core team that worked on Skyrim is still there, but yet there's still Todd Howard. If Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I would have the confidence that it's going to be a good game, whether it's going to be hit a 95, rating or any. We'll see. Maybe that's a thing, something that just you look back on history and be like, man, that was a great, Oblivion, Skyrim. That was the time to be alive, and it was never the same. But of course, I'm always rooting for their success. I hope it's a great game. I just don't know if we have any guaranteed confidence um, right now. Um, but we'll see how that develops. As far as what do they have to get right, I think Nick hit it. It's this whole AI or auto generated. It's all everyone's talking about it with every game. There needs to be some soul into it. There needs to be somebody who spent 8 hours crafting one little side character. It can't just be big for the sake of being big. That's one of the reasons I'm excited for Fable after they gave us some of that news that it's like, no, these are dense towns. Like it's not just some big open map where you ride your horse for 20 minutes. It's there's a lot to do. So it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to. It could be smaller than Skyrim. Like these games don't have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, it has to be immersive. It has to want to pull you back in. And I know we're going to get into Crimson Desert here in a second, but that's the thing with Crimson Desert. It's like I'm at this point of like, is it pulling me back in, or is it just the completionist in me that wants to check the boxes? Like what is it? I'm still unsure, but I'll pass it back to you. With you know, are you confident with Elder Scrolls right now with Bethesda?
I love exactly what you said. I'm confident we'll at least get a good game.
Yeah.
I am very hesitant to think this will be, and maybe it's not fair to put that much pressure on them, but again, you waited 15 years. I'm waiting 15 years for this thing. I'm expecting what we expected from Starfield, the game of a generation, is what they were kind of hype, what unfair hype put on them, but that's how it was feeling, right? And then I remember before Starfield came out, they did that like state of play and then the direct right after after the Xbox showcase, and it was immaculate and it ended and everyone was just like, oh, I cannot wait to play this, and then kind of like not that it fell flat, just didn't feel where we thought it was going to end. I'm confident that it will be good. I am hesitant to think it's going to be the game I hope it is. And then I'm hoping that after all this time, they're going to deliver to us things I believe they need to do that are non-negotiables to be successful. I'm going to reiterate a few of the things that Chip said, but factions. They're known for the faction quests and these different groups you can join, and like even having these groups really means something. Like I remember as I was playing the companion storyline, I was hoping we could become silver hands as well, like be the werewolf slayers, especially when Dawn Guard comes out and you can be a vampire slayer, like live that monster hunter fantasy of like I'm a vampire slayer with the Dawn Guard and I hunt werewolves as a silver hand, but you couldn't join the silver hand, so that kind of upset me a little bit. But and like yeah, rehash some of the classics, Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, like Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood. Let us be a part of these great moments and then craft like these amazing storylines. Like we'll always talk about the Dark Brotherhood story quest line in Oblivion. It's one of the best ever, in my opinion, that Bethesda has ever put together. And another non-negotiable for me is you got to go back to how the loot was like in Oblivion, and like like not like it is in Starfield and Fallout 4, where it's like this gun's just a little bit better. This is an orange version of the blue gun. Like, and who you talking to? I'm the looter shooter loot guy, all the different games from Diablo 4 to Destiny. But that's not what I want from a Bethesda game. I want Dawnfang. You know what I mean? I want these unique weapons, these Daedric artifact weapons that are just awesome, and it rewards your exploration. And again, that getting your exploration back to what you guys stated, like handcrafted. And I don't mind if you AI generate certain assets to make it easier, but the core experience in itself being handcrafted, and then rewarding you for doing that. Remember when we were talking Starfield? I would get so frustrated because I would do a cave that looked like a cave I just did, and at the end of it was nothing, or like just a a slightly better version of the gun I'm already using. No different name, no nothing.
That's why I didn't. I just. I think I was away or something when it launched, and then I was hearing all this stuff about it, and I was like, exactly like you just said. I think I read a review similar where it's like, I just did this cave,
Yeah.
and so I didn't even buy it.
And that's where it's like, again, like the loot, like you got to make it worth it. I want to find these epic items, and I do. I'm of two minds of what you stated, Nick, also about the reclassing and changing up and but I'm more of like I kind of like, and this is more of like because we're so busy, I like it just being free and being able to do it, but I also love the idea of earning it. So it's not like you don't ruin that immersion. Um I do like I said, I think they can learn a lot from the Starfield difficulty toggling of experience and stuff like that. I think that's a great way to go about it. Maybe build on that more and make it the environment's more dynamic, and that too in itself. Like I want check your ego at the door and take what these other studios are doing. Look at Warhorse, study what they did. Like make it where these side quests are just, if not better than the main storyline. Like I'll pull from one, like where you end up in that mine and you think you're fighting a demon, and it ends up being this knight that got abandoned in this mine shaft that
That was a
you know
great
what I
quest.
mean? You know what I mean? Like it all starts,
Yeah.
Dave. Like you find a bunch of goats that are ripped up, so you're thinking, oh, it's like a demon because they're like claw marks and things on these things. So it's like make these engaging, really cool storylines, and that to your point, add that the choice and consequences to it as well. I mean, we want that stuff to happen. Like, just pay attention and look at all these other studios, and if they're not already, I know they're well into development, but again, like we're expecting just an amazing game. So, without the sake of continuing to ramble on a little bit about these non-negotiables, if they could just get right the factions, give me a compelling story. And I think region and loot is important. And loot goes hand in hand with exploration. Give me all of Tamriel. Let me go through all of Tamriel. Just do it.
Oh,
Let me, you know what I mean? Like
maybe that's
Crimson
what it
Desert
is.
us, like, I know Dave's like a little hesitant about the Crimson Desert thing, and I will jump onto that too, because I do agree with you. But
Well,
after
after all this,
15 years, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you're
after
about to hit it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after 15 years, just open it up for us.
Yeah.
ESO does it, but open it up for us. Let us, again, like the famous line, you see that mountain over there, you can go to it. And it's like, just let us be free in that world. And again, that's asking a massive amount. Open all of Tamriel and make it all handcrafted. But hey, 15 years. That's all. I mean, I know, granted, now they weren't working on it for 15 years, but we've waited this long. So now, again, I do also love what Dave said. If it's not that, then make it the most beautiful handcrafted thing you guys have ever coughed up. But everything I see, everything I touch is just awesome. And I believe, and people can say my high, I'm too like asking too much of them, but I'm saying I love this studio since I was a kid, and I've waited 15 years for this game to come out, and I'm really concerned about what will be delivered to me, but I'm optimistic and hopeful at the end of the day. And so, Todd, from all of us here at Grinding Game, please do as you're saying. Listen to the feedback, study everything else, and realize that your fan base has aged 15 years, and we want to see this amazing game that we know you guys can make for us. So we'll close it there when it comes to Bethesda. But there is a game that is out currently that is doing a lot of what we're hoping Bethesda does, and listening to player feedback and making adjustments as they go. At one point, which one day, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chip, did 3 patches in one day. This game, again, and anyone that listened to the last episode, I felt a little differently about it. Nick was high on it, and Dave was just getting his feet wet with it. But that is Crimson Desert. And so I will start off the conversation with Crimson Desert with all of us. And I will start this time. After more time, are we higher or lower on Crimson Desert? after some more time with it, I just defeated the Redouble, and I was just telling Nick off camera. I loved it. I thought that was an excellent fight, very anime inspired, how it goes, and the story, like your typical, my father hated me, I became this. And then he's like, and then this mask will find whose heart has hated it. And I was like, this is cool. But sorry, little spoilers there, fighting the Redouble. But let me tell you something, the Crimson Desert, you will forget about that as soon as you look at the next bandit camp, and then you're flying all over the place, and you'll be like, what was CT saying about the Redouble? I don't remember. Then you get sliced in half. But the conclusion I have come to is, because I played a little bit more and I just put it down and I was like, I want to play something else. I feel like currently I'm just not in the right mindset for this. Like I've stated before, it's written all in all, not to talk in third person. This is definitely a CT game all about it. But I'm just like, I no fault to the game in itself. I just feel empty playing it, and it's just not doing what I want to do for me. And this is the same thing that happened when I played Rogue Trader for the first time. And I don't know if you guys have ever played that. It's a tactical space RPG made by Alcout Studios. Fantastic. I'm gonna double check, make sure I get that name right. Nick, maybe look at that for me. I don't make sure I jacked up their name, but a fantastic video game. When I first booted it up, I was like, I'm not feeling this. Last year, went back to it and just could not put it down. I had so much fun. Thank you so much. And that's what makes me excited about that group, because they're also, I believe, making Expanse, Osiris Reborn. I got, me, I'm terrible with all the names. Everyone's gonna make fun of me, just like Klern. But they're also making that one, which makes me super excited. But I to close the knot on this initial question, I am higher on it, but I'm going to step away, and I'm probably going to revisit this maybe later in the year, or wait for another lull. It seems like there's not going to be one, but maybe wait till like December. Maybe this will be like my Christmas game or something along those lines, depending on what is out. But and I will say this, I will continue to jump in here and there, but like, it just still has not got its hooks in me, as I've seen it's gotten so many people with. And Dave, how about you? I know you've jumped in a little bit more, and you've kind of alluded to it throughout the episode. Are you higher or lower? And what are your overall thoughts after spending some more time?
I'm definitely going to give more time, of course. It's been fun so far, but like I talked about earlier, I don't know. You guys know I have that completionist mindset of like, big open world, let me go find all the weapons. And you guys were texting about some of the stuff you could find early in the game, so like I get, I like that kind of stuff. But like you said, I feel like as I'm playing, I start thinking about other games, of like, man, it's, do I want to put that much time into this, or I think I will, but it'll be long term. It'll be sprinkled throughout the year. I think it is a decent game to just like some of the control stuff, because for me it was like I think there was like a week between my play sessions, so then I picked it back up, and I was just like a little bit of orientation of like, oh yeah, I gotta push left stick to do this, and it is it's more demanding than all of us have talked about like an Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and there's pros and cons to those Ubisoft games, but there is one thing you can always I could pick up Valhalla right now and just, I wouldn't be worried about any of my attacks or controls. Like, it would probably just flow pretty smoothly. I could just go raid a camp or something. But I think with Crimson Desert, it's a little bit more like you got to remember, like, okay, this is what I was, working on. But yeah, I hate to stay on the fence for so long, but I also feel like I'm not alone. I think it's one of those. It's like, here you go. Here's a big open world. Maybe once I get on that dragon, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is it. But I feel like I'm a ways away. I think I'm I don't know. I'm only on like chapter 3 or 4. I'm way behind. But but I played enough to get that to kind of understand what we're getting here, and it's fun. But it's the point right now. It's like, do I want to go back? Do I want to play some Witcher 3 or something instead? Do I want to get ready for that rumored DLC we've been hearing about, or
I hope
or
that's so true. I mean, part of me doesn't because you're gonna get a bunch of points, but
yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited if that's a reality.
Right. It's
Yeah,
it's a it's deciding where we're gonna put our time right now. Which Netflix show are you gonna binge? Which game are you gonna get lost in? I don't know. I will give Crimson Desert some more time. I just can't say if it's gonna pull me in. I think I agree with you right now. Resident Evil so far game of the year. Um, I know we're jumping so many different categories between Marathon, Crimson Desert, and Resident Evil and Dragonkin, which I know very little about. It's a lot of different categories, but so far Resident Evil has been my like funnest, most enjoy. Like it was like, yeah, this is awesome for sure. But
Nick, I know you've been sorry, Chip. Excuse me, sir. I will get it right. Do not get mad at me. No, Dave, I think you and I are kind of on the same page. It seems like in a lot of our same thoughts. And again, me and you were both very early. I think combined have less time than Chip does. But Chip, you've been playing it more. You've been playing it and seeing all these patches that have been happening in real time. So are you higher and lower as you continue to play the game? And kind of touch in on what you've seen that changed, that feels better. I mean, the one initial thing I saw was it's a single button press for sprint. So thank God for that. That was a nice little quality of life improvement. I appreciate it. But yeah, floor is yours, sir. Kind of give us the whole rundown of Crimson Desert right now after spending a lot more time with it.
So it's definitely higher for me. I've been putting like a decent amount of time into it. When for me, I have nothing else pressing that I truly want to play right now, and I'm really enjoying just the gameplay loop of it. I'm kind of just taking it for what it is, man. Like, one day I'll pick it up and okay, I want to do some of these story missions and let me get entrenched in the story a little bit. Or I'll pick it up and be like, all right, I want to expand the Gray Main encampment and do some of these missions. Or do I want to go liberate some of these strongholds? Or do I want to go hit the abyss and do some puzzle solving, right? So it's kind of a great game to, if you're sitting on the couch and you want to chill and you got an hour, what do you want to do? Do you want to go take down a camp? Do you want to go listen to some story and get involved and progress? Do you
Do some
want
rook
to?
runs.
Yeah, see, for me, like, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
But
I'm so sorry.
yeah, don't sidetrack me, or we will completely stop talking about Crimson Desert. But no, it's like it's for me, dude. It's the patches have been awesome, and I talked about it when we were talking about Bethesda. But I don't know when you faced the Reed Devil, if it was after the patch or not. But that was a very
It was after the patch. After the patch.
so that was a I did it before the patch, so it was, I want to say, very difficult, but it was probably the most difficult part of the game I'd played up to that point, because you have to go up this, as you know, that mountain, and as you're traversing the mountain, there's constantly spawning a horde of enemies. And at this point, I really hadn't invested much into my food and things like that. I was kind of breezing through. A lot of the fights felt pretty easy. Um, and so, it was I would say it was a little bit frustrating just because I really wasn't prepared when I went into it. Um, and they patched to, how that was as really kind of an initial boss fight, to where, the fight itself I felt like was manageable once you learn the moves. It was, I took them down, but you know, you're also kind of going into that fight, if you don't expect that, losing all your food by fighting hordes and hordes of enemies to get to the boss fight. So it's just the patches, man, have been awesome. Like they just care so much, I think, about what the community makes or what the community thinks and their issues. And for me, when a game does that, like, I want to keep showing my support to them. It also helps. I have armor that I look like the Lich King now, running around the game.
Sick.
So,
Yeah, you sent that picture to us, and
yeah,
that's what I was talking about. Seeing stuff like that, like knowing what's ahead, makes me want to keep playing more.
Yeah, I
yeah.
did find something pretty sick too. I don't know if you found it yet, Chip or Dave. It was a gun lance, so it's like a spear with a gun at the tip of it. So yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, see,
too,
I like
so.
it. I've played a good amount, and I haven't even come across a gun yet. So it's like I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
So and another point of it too, and I'll pick up what Dave talked about. Yes, if you pick up Valhalla right now, you would probably easily understand the controls. But for me, it made that game stale because it's just parry attack, parry attack. That's like the Assassin's Creed loop is fun, but it's not fun in a massive game because then you're just like, all right, man,
repetitive.
you kind of know how every fight's gonna go. For this, it's like, you really got to gauge how you do it. A boss fight's way different than when you come up on a horde of bandits. How are you gonna handle that fight? The boss fights, you really got to understand the parries. You really got to know what abilities you're going to use. I just fought the chapter 5 boss, and I will tell you, he is probably twice as hard, if not 3 times as hard as the Reed Devil. And so it was like a check of what's to come, dude. I'm excited for some of these big boss fights. Like the mechanics that they put into these bosses is fun. It was a 3-phase battle, different areas you go to. You had to switch up how you fought in each phase basically to beat them. It's just I really like what they do with it. It's fun. I want to keep leveling up. I do worry, I guess my only worry is and I don't know how they would fix this or change this, but I could see myself probably maxing out the tree apart from the main health, spirit, and stamina parts that have a lot of chunks to them fairly quickly. Um, so maybe just, and I'm sure they'll drop a DLC or something, but add like you know, some new abilities, new ways of fighting, something like that. They probably can't because they will run out of controls at some point of how you do it. But I do worry about maybe maxing that stuff out. But just traveling the world is fun. There is one gripe I have is and it brought me back to Valhalla was I've been doing a lot of the Gray Main missions to expand my camp and build up my camp. And like the last time I did like 5 of the missions. They're fairly quick, but each like so many of them start with follow X on horseback, and then they take you like close to the objective, and then they leave anyways. And it's like, dude, if I could get there how I want to get there without having to follow this person on horseback, I would love that, right? Like have a little cutscene. That's like the times where it's like I'd like just a cutscene where this guy tells me what he was going to tell me on horseback, and then I could just, teleport to the Nexus and fly down to my objective, or jump off the side of the Gray Man camp and fly to where I want to go, call in my horse, and you know explore a little bit on the way. It doesn't take you very far to do it, but when you're running missions back to back and each one is
No, it
follow this
does.
person on a horse, you're like, all right, dude, I don't even want to do any more of these missions right now. It burns you out on it.
Yeah,
does.
it's every game. I hate freaking follow quests or escort quests. They always
Yes.
make me so angry.
I know. I feel right now with a limited window. If I want to pop on Crimson Desert for an hour, but then there's 15 minutes on horseback, that's a quarter of your time, and it is. I agree with you. That's a great point. Just get to the action.
Yeah. So, but just overall, dude, I'm just having fun. I'm having fun with it.
That's the most important thing, man. Like, and that's what gaming and like we get cheesy when we talk about it, but it's so true. It's like you could just love something and have fun with it, and it might not click for me and Dave same way. We might be like kind of on the fence about it, but it's always like, but you know what I mean? It was like with us and Mio, like me and him were fully in the Mio, and you're kind of like, don't really want to know if I want to jump into it. You know what I mean? That's what makes it fun. Like it's just like, and the best part is we both understand where you're coming from. Like it's like we're like, oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it. It's like, but for whatever reason it is, whatever is going on, both mentally or outside of here or outside of gaming, it's just mentally not just like from. I'm the same way Dave is. Like it's like I got an hour. Do I want to? For me, like do I want to run a couple runs in marathon? Do I want to do a little bit in Dragonkin, or do I want to? Like, what will I accomplish more? And maybe that's where my mindset is. Do I feel more accomplished doing an hour in Crimson Desert? Feel like I didn't really do anything, or I got a bunch of great loot in Marathon, or I leveled up my character a little bit in Dragon Quinn, same concept with some loot, So I think that's kind of where my brain is, but I totally get where you're coming from. And I just love to hear that. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. I'm having fun.
Yeah. And one thing, and the crew in the comments was saying this on our last live, that the story does get better and it does make more sense. And I would urge both of you to next time you play, or the next couple sessions that you play, is to try to get through chapter 5 and see where your thoughts have shifted on the story, because it does open up a lot, and I'm kind of getting invested in the story where I didn't think. I thought this game I would just kind of go explore and like do whatever and kind of skip through the story. It 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 kind of gives it to you in bits, right? So it's making more sense what's going on, and I think that maybe initially we thought that maybe Pearl Abyss was like, all right, we're just going to do this and we're not going to focus on the story. I think they took a different approach on how they give you the story. So, but
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I'd be curious when you guys do hit that point to circle back and get some rehashed thoughts on it.
Yeah, I can push a little bit. I shouldn't say push. I can do that. I can commit to that. I think that'll be gives it a fair assessment. If that's when you really feel like there's a big shift, I would love to see that.
Whenever you guys do it, we'll schedule it in one of the episodes to kind of just talk about it.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to bring up that made me mad, but it was actually fun in the game that happened to me leading up to the Reed Devil. I was just exploring a little bit and I ran into this bear and we scrapped. And as I'm like beating him up, it like gives me the option to ride. And I got to ride this bear mount and I got super excited. I was like, oh, now I have a bear mount and it attacks, which is kind of cool. Like it swings its paw and hits people. Yeah. And then I like rode it up a mountain and then I got off of it and he smacked me in the back of the head and I fell off the mountain. I got so mad. Like I was like, what is this? I looked it up because I was like, why did my bear mount attack me? It's like, well, I guess that's not your permanent bear mount. So just be wary if you're out there exploring Crimson Desert, you run into a bear, he will betray you greatly. Like the evil Winnie the Pooh, it really was.
And that's the last thing I'll say with these games is that's my ultimate love with open world games when you have friends that play is one, I've never even seen a bear in the game yet. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody has this different experience, even though you're kind of in the same place.
The water
and you said you got put to sleep by those mushrooms. I haven't had that encounter yet, but I know that
I've never wanted to snap my controller as hard playing a single player game than that, dude. I was like, dude, every couple steps they I was like, oh god. And then it goes into like what made me even madder. I know this will ring true for YouTube for how busy we all are. It was like a 45-second cutscene every single time they did it. So I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah,
I'm getting angry thinking about it, dude. So I'll let you bring it up.
I've heard some of your horror stories. You go off into the woods and you get smacked. So
you gotta stay away from the woods, dude.
Yeah, I've been staying on the main course. Like I told my a lot of games like this, I want to go do side missions, but this one I'm like, okay, let me push through the main story and kind of get a feel. Like Nick said, I've heard it gets better. I'm gonna stay on course with those story missions for this one, and then maybe branch off to the side. But
So we will all continue our journeys through Crimson Desert, but if and only if you guys only have an hour here to play each day, do I have a better game for you? A game that has a higher Metacritic and OpenCritic score, and that game would be Marathon. And everyone in the comments will shred me, especially these two gentlemen, after me saying
Yeah.
that. But we actually all the three of us jumped in the Marathon and did a little power leveling. We were just knocking out missions, having great runs. After we had one heartbreaker where we lost a bunch of good stuff, but then we had two back-to-back good runs in the pinwheel. See us, we dare you. And the boys and us tore through it, got some good stuff. I lost it all the next day, but yeah, Marathon. And again, I want to say this too about Crimson Desert. Jump back into our last episode. We go a little bit more deeper into Crimson Desert if you want to hear our initial thoughts and impressions and all that, as well as Marathon, the episode before. But yeah, boys. Again, everyone knows I'm really into Marathon. I'm really enjoying it. I like it. And I keep saying it. It is what they marketed as it is. It is a fast-paced extraction shooter, PvP, PvE focused, mostly PvP, but some PvP, PvE sprinkled in there. They've been doing patches too. Nick, you might want to look at the last patch notes. I think they nerfed the thief's grapple hook and movement, which is going to make you extremely angry.
Game's dead.
But
well,
again, like I've been saying, like
Just
I'm just
joking.
having a ton of fun with it. It's scratching that itch for me, and like I played both it and Arc Raiders, and yeah, hit me in the comments if you want. I enjoy this much more than Arc Raiders. I think the shooting's a lot more tighter. I like the aesthetic of the world. And again, and like Dave said it too when we were playing, he's like, if it's a Bungie shooter, we got a chance. You know what I mean? Like, even if we have the worst guns comparatively to other people, like we were taking teams out and we were in gray shields and free loadouts, and they were in blue. As a unit, we were, tearing it up. And yeah, we didn't have Cairo Archive this last weekend, but we're hoping to hit it this weekend. No promises, but we were hoping we can jump in there together as a crew. And if we beat the whole thing, we got to figure out how to get that recording and post it on there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm really enjoying Marathon. I see the dwindling numbers. I want you guys to kind of like we just did with Chip, kind of sling some concerns and questions my way, and I'll answer them as you guys go. But for me, it's a lot more fun to play in a group, especially a group like when we're all on comms together. We know each other's gaming styles and we can kind of build off each other. That's always going to be for these games the best. Now, the solo runs, I've been doing some rook runs. I've been seeing those rooks to riches videos, so I try to do it myself and came up with a bunch of success. I've actually unlocked all like the little codec stuff for the rooks, so like the icons and everything, doing some runs as them. So that's a lot of fun. And I've been doing some normal solo runs, which is, like I said, it becomes like a survival horror game. You're listening to every little sound, trying to get in, get out, knock out those missions. But I would say it's a lot more fun in the group, but solo play is a lot of fun too. And yeah, I've been paying attention. I saw like in one of the shorts we just put out recently, the numbers have dropped down. They're still consistent around the weekend time frame up to that 30 40,000 mark. Nick had sent us a story that you can kind of reiterate too, that if they don't reach a certain amount, the game could die out by June. I think they could do some pivots to help, but that's a lot of work that has to go into it. In comparison, like they call it like Concord 3 or whatever you want to call it, but this game has so much more substance than High Guard and Concord, and I feel like it's not fair to compare them to each other. Now, just because it's not ringing as big as like other games, I don't think that makes it a bad game. I just think it might not be what everyone expected and wanted from Bungie. But yeah, I mean, I'll leave it there. Like I'll end it with simply as this. I'm having fun every time I jump in with Marathon. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great game, and they really have some. It's nothing like it out there. Like people say, there's a extraction shooter fatigue or whatever. It's a hero based extraction shooter with raid mechanics in certain maps. Not a lot of games are doing that, right? I think that's cool. And like you guys got to, how fun was Pinwheel in comparison to the other maps? Like Dave, I remember you saying like, I wish there was a little more action. Then we're in Pinwheel and you're just like, I need a moment to breathe, guys. We all did. Like you're fighting these bots, then you get up the ladder, then you're trying to fight another team. Then there's a sneaky little rooks coming up the ladders. It's like,
yeah, they kept coming at one point.
blood is pumping. And as soon as you knock out one team, then a bunch of bots that are blue, you know what I mean? And blue and purple shields come around the corner, and they're nothing to, joke around with. You're trying to save ammo, but it's a fun game. And but I can totally get it where you two are like, I'd rather play with a group than try to run solos by myself. And that I totally understand. But like giving us the option of free loadouts, rook runs where there's like zero, unless you find a bunch of great stuff and then get wiped, but you're going in there not risking anything, but you can leave. Like I left one rook run. I think it was 7,000, like a $7,000 backpack worth of stuff. Like found blue guns, you know what I mean? Like, well, the good thing is like you go there and like you got to remember, especially like in outpost, like these fights will happen, and then these people are like in gold weapons, sometimes purple weapons, so they don't pick up certain things. So like you'll find someone down and find blue guns, blue shields that no one grabbed. And so like you'll like, you're picking the corpses of these like battles that happen because you get sent in halfway through a run most of the times. But then you got to play it smart and kind of sneak into an extraction or kind of set one up and then hide off into the corner and let a team go fight it out. And you kind of slide in and hope they don't get you. But it just adds a lot of fun. Like I said, like it was not a game I was that excited for. Then it came out and it's like hard for me to put down. I'm really enjoying like going back, like no fault to Crimson Desert, but I'm like playing Crimson Desert. Like, I kind of want to do a couple runs. You know what I mean? Like kind of see if I get some good stuff. Like, like I said, the highs are so much better than the lows in that game. Like, and I was actually proud because Nick is, as Dave and I know, he does not like it when he loses some good stuff. But I was like, the way you shook it off, because you understood the next round we're going to get it all back, and we got better stuff. You know what I mean? And then when you understand that about the game, like when you have all this good stuff, it's your turn with all that good stuff, and then the dude that wipes you, it's their turn with your good stuff. I wish there was like a feature where it kind of showed the names of everyone that's owned the gun. That'd be kind of cool. Like, if like one day you finally like get your battle rifle back that you lost like 8 matches ago, and you're like, oh, it's mine. This was mine back at the time. You know what I mean? Like I got him back.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
But I would love to hear from you guys. I know you have a lot less time than I do in the game and have different thoughts about it. But yeah, I mean, we went deep like a last episode. But any new thoughts and how you guys feeling ever since we played that last round together as a crew, Dave?
Yeah, we as I was telling you guys, it's the more time spent, and I guess you could say that with any game, it grows on it. You start to learn the fundamentals.
You playing with 2 rats that keep grabbing all the backpacks, and you got to fend us off with your knife.
Yeah,
especially that one at the bottom there. Look at him. That's all he's thinking about right now is the loot that we could have. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess like as the most unexperienced player coming in, my mindset was just like, okay, I want to, support the team, try to get some like be an asset. Basically, I wasn't so much like loot minded. Of course, I wanted better guns and stuff, but still, just like learning the game. It's like I didn't really know what I was looking for anyway. So I was like, well, as long as I'm getting kills, and then of course the color tiers, that's simple enough of like any game, green, blue, purple, gold. It's pretty standard stuff. And so of course I think last time we left off, I have a blue battle rifle, which you had called out was like, this is like the Halo battle rifle. And, so I'm like, okay, that's my comfort zone. I'll pick it up. But I don't think I shot anybody with it yet. I didn't get to kill anybody.
No, you scared the shit out of us with it though. Like fired the rounds. And we're like, what was that? What was that?
Yeah.
Like, just testing, boys, just testing.
I'm tempted to get in and use it. It's an interesting approach with Marathon. I feel like they made a niche game to where it's like, how many people out there right now have a set 3 to play with? I mean, look at us, like struggling to we put in a good session Friday night, but still, like, it wasn't enough time for me, to get at least to get into the raid, which was sold as like, hey, don't judge our game until you've done the raid. But there's people are out there trying, and that people throw around like games like Battlefield. It's like it's great for the older generation. It's great for busy people, great for dads because you could pick up and play and you could still kill. You start with the M4 day one, so you're good enough. But a game like Marathon deters people that are like, I haven't, I didn't even play last week. Am I going to jump in with, everyone's got gold loot now? So I think that's why they've struggled. Is it's a fun game. It has the bones and stuff are there, but I think the casual audience, people look at it and they're like, I can't keep up, not for me, or I don't have anyone to play with. Um, I think that's what's hurting them. And then, of course, we talked about everyone like your audience is aging. Are you going to age? It's like how many, back to the original Marathon game that I've heard about. That was before us. I don't know if you guys ever played it, but it's like that's pre our generation. Um, and then Halo, of course, it's like Halo fans are few and far between. So it's like, how much weight does Bungie hold these days? They come out with a game like this, and sorry, my dog's coming in and out, but yeah, I think I'll wrap it up. I think that's where they've suffered. Is it's like they made this game where you have to keep peeling layers to kind of like, oh, this is like just But same thing we just talked about Crimson Desert, where everyone's saying like, hey, give it more time, give it more time. It's weird, like 2 games released close enough to where it's like it's the same thing. It's like you might not love it at first, but just
Give us some time. Give us some time.
yeah, yeah. It's uh, that closes my thoughts. I want to play some more, and I hope it doesn't die. I think there's people I've seen online. People were talking about like 200 plus hours. Like there's some people that are loving this game, so I hope it doesn't die. Um, Even though most of the public just wants that to happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we kind of worded a question we put out in one of our shorts, just like give us the reason why or what you think needs to happen. Instead of just saying dead game. But like right now, it's like 35,000 active players right now. So there's, like I said, they're staying steady around that number. It has dropped. Don't get me wrong, because it was like steady around 40, but it seems like they're like getting snug in that 35,000. And just in the Steam charts, I don't know about consoles, but like we stated last week, like 70% of the sales are from Steam, so it's a pretty good indicator of the kind of numbers they're looking at. Nick, with Marathon giving you a -11 on the fantasy draft, how are you feeling about it right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be the first to say I've never had a bad time playing Marathon. Right? It's like it's fun. They do have a really cool system, and I'm not an extraction shooter player, right? I'm really not a fan of the concept of it, to be honest with you. I think it's very fun, these types of games initially, but I get kind of bored with that loop, I would say, for lack of a better term. It's unless we have a squad like we do, you know what I mean? It's like that for me is when it's really fun to like get on the mic and coordinate and take down some teams. And for me, that's where the fun truly lies. I think the
You and me
clashes are
losing all
really
of our
cool.
health and shields and begging Dave for medical drones. He's like, I've already
Yeah.
given you all, guys. I'm on cooldown. We're just like, please.
It,
Yeah.
it's like that's where that game shines. And it's like the shells are really cool. I love being able to like pick your class, and especially when you got 3 people and everybody kind of picks something that's pretty cohesive together. And you got the rooks that rat in out of nowhere and try to beat them. And it's a lot of fun, but ultimately, and I think I've talked a good bit on Marathon. Here's my ultimate thoughts on it, and this is with any game, is I'm not look, I want to do the raid, and we'll do the raid and play it, and it's going to be fun. But as solo, I'm just not going to invest any more time into this game progression wise, when to me it does look like a very downward trend to potentially going away, just like with High Guard. Like, we had fun with High Guard, but it's like I wasn't going to grind out faction missions, or and it didn't have that. But let's just say, for the sake of example, like, I'm not going to grind out missions if it's like, you know, the player count does keep steadily dropping. Like, it's not something that, people should focus on all the time. But if you're making a commitment, like, if I'm going to play a game in the evenings, I could play a game. I'm not going to play a game that could potentially go away, right? That's why Crimson Desert for me, like, I know in 6 months, if I still stop playing Crimson Desert today, I could still pick it back up and keep playing it. Like, it's a big worry with a live service game that all time invested is going to go away.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's why most people probably won't buy the season pass. That's why most people won't buy a cosmetic, right? So that hurts their sales too, where it's like,
Also, the cosmetics are terrible. They need to
yeah,
work
they
on
are
that.
horrible. The cosmetics are horrible. Like, they with as cool as some of the shells are that they like do have, it's like they could have like went nuts with it. I would have expected in Bungie with how they've, I would have thought they would have had a little bit more up their sleeve with it. Maybe they will in the next season.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I mean,
Destiny
that's
just
just
did a Star Wars collab. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I would have like been asking Lucas Arts, like, "Hey, man, you guys want to give us like a little rub here and give us like a couple stormtrooper outfits or something?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But that's just kind of where I live with it, man. It's like, I have fun. If the boys hop in, I'll hop in, and I'll have a great night of gaming. I think every point you made is 100% true. It's a fun game. There's nothing wrong with the game in my eyes. People say that it's a hardcore game. I It's hard for me to believe that when a game feeds you free loadouts if you lose all your shit, right?
Yeah.
Tarkov is a hardcore game, right? I
Yeah,
played
I
a
just
couple
saw this
rounds of
whole
that.
rant about that. It's like,
Right. Like, you can
yeah,
go in with
Yeah.
nothing in that game if you lose your stuff, right? They give you a free loadout with like at least a gun to go do a mission and loot and get out of there. You can run assassin and get out of the map if you want to. So it's like,
Yeah.
to
I
me,
was
it
gonna
doesn't.
say there's drops I felt like we got in and out. You don't even sometimes you don't even encounter a team, or you hear them shooting and you can go the other way. You can avoid conflict. So it's not forced like this hardcore mode where I didn't feel like it was ultra competitive or anything like that. Obviously
Right.
there's risk involved, but
But
I
I mean,
mean,
it's so weird to me that this game is kind of under the microscope for this hardcore aspect. And some of the reviews I've read is like, you are sitting at a box trying to understand the loot. Yeah, but I did the same thing in Arc Raiders trying to figure out what the heck all the stuff was initially. I mean, I think that's just what
it's
these
part of the
games
game. Yeah.
are. Yeah, like, initially
yeah.
you're gonna have to spend some time, and you might get killed messing with a box. I mean, it's like, you kind of, what I do is grab everything that I see, get out, and then I look at my inventory after Xville and see, okay, what was auto sold? Okay, I see what that is. What is kept? And then you can read the descriptions there. But for me, it was just kind of grab everything, get out, review it, So it's like, I think
It's
it's
kind of
got a
like if you
little
were
bit of,
really in that scenario, you kind of, you know what I mean? How would I react if
yeah,
this was a real life scenario? I'm not gonna, you know what I
right.
mean? Grab the stuff, get out, and then when I have safe, I'll look at all the stuff I grabbed.
Yeah, so I think it's an unfair assessment. I just do feel that I mean, maybe that's what's pushed people away. I don't know. I mean, from 88,000 to, they were kind of trending around 65,000 on the weekends, to 30 to 40 now. I hope it doesn't go away. I like the game. I know you like the game. For you specifically to play, you have so much joy in it solo. I don't want to see it go away. But I think for a lot of people, they see what I see with it, and they worry about it, and they just don't want to invest time with it. There's so many options. Like we've said, the market's so saturated that if you even have a shadow of a doubt now, why would you spend your time in something that you could potentially lose all your time in?
No, and you make a great point. It makes me think about it too. Like, if I keep investing all this time in this and it goes away, how am I gonna feel? And part of me is like, that's kind of any game. Like, like I'll never pick up Mio again. I'll never pick up this game again. But to your point, I would love to have the option. Not having the option's the scary part.
Yeah.
It's like this goes away and you can never go back to it again. But boys, we talked a lot. Bethesda, I knew that was going to take up a bunch of time, and we had some other things on the docket. We did, but if you guys are cool with it, I think we kind of let those bake a little bit more, see if more information comes out. We were going to touch in on, those, and throw this in the comments if you guys hear anything or anything you want to talk about there. But some stuff we're going to let live. But we're going to jump into PlayStation and their price increase and them shutting down Dark Outlaw Studios, Xbox's showcase teasers, as well as this Halo Campaign Evolved teasers that came out. But we all know ourselves, and I feel like we jump into another hour in this podcast. But boys, before we wrap this whole thing up, out of those three topics, is there anything you guys want to pull out, pull at those threads a little bit, talk about it, or do y'all kind of want to let it bake and we'll hit that stuff all next week? What are y'all thinking? A little behind baseball right here.
The only thing that I have is with Marathon, to finish up with that, is
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think there's still a very, very small window for a way out. And, me and UCT talked a little bit about it earlier, but, there were some rumors I think you've heard of, or maybe it was ideas that you had of a PvE element to it for people to kind of just go in and face the bots and kind of have a different element to it. I don't know if that will save it. But knowing Bungie,
Real quick, Nick, can I jump on that real quick? And Dave, I want your thoughts on this. So in this idea I kind of had that I've like combined it with other stuff I've heard from other people. So not all of it's original, but I love this idea. If there was a PvE like choice for every map, and it's like maybe 3 teams go in, like there's 3 teams of trios, and inside the map itself, it kind of copies Destiny the Witch Queen, where there's like, there are other trios in there, but they're AI teams, like AI runners, and then the AI bots. And like, you're kind of working with those other teams to like, do missions and take out wardens and everything. But you have this fear of these PvE runner crews coming at you just as well, and kind of having a little more superior AI, and they're a little bit difficult fights, but it's all like a PvE element to it.
I like that idea. My biggest experience with extraction shooters wasn't even a full extraction game, but it was in which Call of Duty. Shoot, now that there's so many Call of Duties, it's escaping me, but it was like whichever one was like 2 years ago. They had this incredible zombies mode. They had so one had DMZ extraction, the other one had a zombies mode extraction, but it doesn't matter. The details don't matter. What the important thing was that you could team up with other teams. That was something I really liked, and I could see serving Marathon well, was if there was like a harder mission, a harder boss or something, to like in that Call of Duty that I'm talking about. You could, like, if you were within like proximity chat of the other team, you could send a little message and be like, do you want to team combine? So then all of a sudden a team of 3 would turn into a team of 6, where friendly fire and all that was in play, so you couldn't like, they became your squad mates, and I loved that feature. And I could see, like, if as Marathon develops, like if there was something like, okay, are you going to go kill that team, or are you going to try to team up with them and do, maybe this mission requires 6 people because there's so many enemies. Like, there's a lot of things they could build on in different, both directions.
No, 100%. But I still want them to keep the core game. Give us an option, though. Give us another mode. You know what I mean? Another mode, more maps, all that good stuff. But to Chip's point, like, I wonder if they're seeing the writing on the walls and like, do they want to keep investing in this if they inevitably think it might fall off? So, again, I hope not, because I think out of the three of us, I enjoy it the most. I think we all have fun with it. I just play a little bit more, just because it kind of scratches that itch I'm feeling in gaming right now. But
Yeah, my
I
worry
don't know.
with
Hmm?
sorry,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
you know, I I agree with you, Dave. I thought that was a great thing. I think it fits into what marathon is now? Probably not. Just because of the small map size, I think that teams would become overpowered extremely fast. So then it would probably become a mad dash for everybody to team up as much as they could initially.
Yeah.
It worked in DMZ, I think, because of just the size of the map, but that
Yeah.
would be really cool. Ultimately, and this is where I'll leave it with Marathon. Um, I do think they need to add something, but is it too late? Even if they added the greatest game mode ever, who has already written off the game? And who with like I said, there's other stuff out there. Who's going to say, well, that sounds cool, but now I'm knee deep in Dragonkin, right? Do I want to pick that back up if you're somebody that just like it left a bad taste in your mouth, right? So I don't
Here,
know.
here's the interesting thought. Have you guys encountered any proximity chat?
No.
I have recently. That's actually starting to happen more often. I
Is
was
it?
doing a rook run and a team ran into me and they're like, "What's up, rook?" And I was like, "Hey." Are they like, "You friendly?" I was like, "Now I am." And they started laughing. And then like as soon as I turned a corner, there was another rook with a shotgun. And
Oh,
we just looked at each other and we both did like the universal squat, and then we walked away from each other. So it's like I
Oh, I
had
guess
every
we did
intention of
too on the
huh?
squad with that rook that said he was friendly and we mowed him down.
right.
Well, in our defense,
He
we
didn't.
had just finished up Pinwheel. It was insanity,
Yeah.
and we needed to kill one more runner to complete a mission.
I
He
It
didn't
was
even
didn't get
hear
the
him
small.
say
words.
friendly. I just had blood in my
Yeah.
eyes.
He didn't get the words out quick enough.
He didn't.
By the time he said it was already a corpse, and I was stabbing him in the head. And I was like,
I was
sorry.
gonna drop him a
Uh,
self revive and then just stab him.
I was like, there's no time. There was so much time. But
But my
that's
thought.
what makes the game fun, And then, yeah, to your point,
Yeah.
it's not as much proximity as Arc Raiders, but I think it's starting to become more of a thing because I think I don't know, as people are getting better at it and realizing it more and getting better stuff, they're like, maybe the friendlier approach is good, but I think it's still way 95% shoot on sight more than friendliness. And I think the friendliness is extended to the rooks more than anything. But I
Mhm.
think it's the fool's folly to believe in those rooks because I am a rook and I will stab you as soon as you give me the opportunity.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
trust anybody.
Maybe that is a good point. I know we all said that we prefer this shoot on site game style, but maybe the casual gamer does like the proximity check because it did make arc raiders like I get stabbed in the back all the time, but you know, I know from videos I've watched and things like that that people would
Well,
have a lot of good
that's what I'm saying.
conversations and not get into a fight and be able to exfil.
The viral, the viral. I think that's what it was. I think there's a couple things. If Marathon came out last year before Arc Raiders, then it would have been the big, new extraction shooter. But also with Arc Raiders, it was those clippable moments when people were in game chat or proximity chat, and then Marathon pushed people away because they're like, oh, these guys just want to kill me. Like I wonder what that. I wonder why such a big difference. Like
I think
I don't.
it's Dave. I think it's because you know this too. When you're playing a Bungie game and it feels good and it's like you want to fight. In Arc Raiders,
Yeah,
into like
that's a good
it's a
point.
great game and the proximity was great and you're right. And then we were talking offline about the burnt peanut and all those streamers that played it and made it even more viral and
Yeah,
added all those funny moments. But it's like when you're playing that, like you want to fight because it feels good and it's just like it's almost like it's built for it. Like you remember, we didn't even need to like think about it. We were just like, "Oh, I'm fighting." You know what I mean? Like we want to
yeah.
scrap.
It felt like
And
Destiny.
but Arc Raiders didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in combat to me. And Nick, I know you were kind of feeling the same way. I
Yeah, I
just
mean,
think it was special in many other ways, but the combat was just not it for me. And I was just not great at it either, to be honest with you.
And think back to our last discussion on the pod about it, man. The majority of our highlights were these random encounters with these other teams. You know what I mean? That one team up on the roof that spared us after we tried to frag them. You know what I mean? So it's true that
Uncle Mike.
Yeah, Uncle Mike, he was a good man. You know what I mean? So it's like there was an aspect to that game that was really appealing, and I do wonder if Marathon. But I think you're absolutely right. When it's a bungee shooter and it feels good, you want to just take people down. So
yeah. But boys, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we can tie the knot on Marathon for now. We'll continue to play. I'm hoping we hit Cairo this weekend, and we can kind of give our final thoughts next week if we do hit Cairo, because we've kind of experienced the full game at that point. I mean, like I said, I've hit it, but I've hit it with randos, and there's been close, successful runs. Like I stated, we almost won, but at the tail end of it, I think we were close to getting to the boss, and then we just got wiped. But that's the nature of the game. But I would love to do it, even if we don't win. You know, what I mean, we lose everything, then that's a good little sign off too. We have nothing. We could do a couple free loadouts to get murked again, and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna go play Crimson Desert, like Nick said. But Marathon, Crimson Desert, we're still loving them. We'll still give more thoughts. And I know before Nick went into what he wanted to finish up, and I'm glad he did, because I kind of extended that discussion a little bit more about Marathon, got a little deep. Those other stories I talked about, we're here. So let's jump into it a little bit. For PlayStation, and Nick, I know you pulled up the prices on this. As we're switching gears here and we're close to like running through the show, we'll run through these relatively quick, but I just want to get y'all's thoughts on it. PlayStation is increasing prices, Nick, and I think you said tomorrow, right? It's as soon as tomorrow. Prices are jumping up on their consoles all across the board, and I think this is a direct reflection of the AI, the RAM shortage. Again, I'm a little bit of a layman when it comes to that, but I've been hearing that's kind of a main cause. The people are pointing to tariffs along another being an issue there, and we don't get political on the show, so we won't. Okay, so we won't jump into.
It should be live.
Yeah, so there you go. So price increases are already live, but the discussion I just wanted to get into on that with you guys, with all these prices jumping up, with Steam Machine around the corner, Xbox Helix projected and rumored to be at $1,500 possibly. How are you feeling about this next gen of consoles, and are we thinking now at these price points, is it just more? I mean, like me and you are kind of cut from the same cloth, Dave. I'm always a console gamer. Like the last thing I want to do is sit on the computer and game. It's just not my thing, never been my thing. And being in the job I'm doing, I do a lot of work on the computer. So it's like, it's like a good differential. Like this is my work and this is my hobby and the fun I have playing my hobby. But like it also begs the question, is it at that point just better? I mean, these high powered, expensive consoles across the board to include Steam Machine will be plug and play, which has always been our appeal of these things. Not to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that's my biggest appeal, is like I just plug and play, don't have to worry about it. But are we getting to the point where, like, I'm curious to see, because Steam Machine is going to have the less amount, like Xbox and PlayStation have these built-in audiences and scale of economy, and I think that Steam will not have that with the machine they're going to build. Like, they have massive audiences, so don't get me wrong. Comments, please don't crush me. But I am curious to see that price point now. I think that's why they've been so silent, kind of seeing the landscape change and everything. So kind of, again, I hit you with a two-parter. How are you feeling about these price increases, and like, how are you thinking maybe your next step in the console world will go now, where it's like, it's going to price people to the point of like, you got to make one choice. Like, luckily we're at points in lives where we can have multiple consoles, but like, even if I'm at the point where I afford all this stuff, I don't really want to spend $3,000 to have all three consoles. You know what I mean? Just me personally. Yeah. So, with that being said, like, how are you feeling about these price increases, and where do you think you might be stepping next?
Yeah, it's tough. I've talked to you guys about being on. I really want to jump on. I mean, also obviously time is a limiting factor. It's just, this is a classic case with all these games coming out and everything. It's like the phrase, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. You order way too much food and you don't finish it. That's how I feel with these games right now. There's already too much to finish on my Xbox, but my eyes are over there looking at PlayStation side, and I'm I was kind of tempted to buy one, and then I was like, well, I could probably get a lot of these old PlayStation games for like $10. It wouldn't be bad. But now for somebody like me that I was nearly in the market for a PlayStation, but now with a big increase, I got 2 young kids. I can't justify dropping, that's a sizable amount of money when I already have something to play video games on. As far
Especially
as
the new stuff right around the corner too. It's kind of like,
yeah.
at this point, do I just wait? Because then there's rumored that PS6 is going to be cheaper, which you know what I mean. So it's just
Yeah.
like in my
Yeah.
head, that doesn't make any sense. I can get why though, because it's like it's made differently, different components and everything, but it's still in your head. Like we've grown up where it's like the newer console is always going to be more expensive. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but it's a good point. I think right now is a moment you just sit and wait. There's enough to play. There's all these passes, on each whatever console you have right now. I think it's just kind of sit there, wait, let's see what happens these next couple of years. If to give you an answer right now, if I had to like put a deposit down, I'm staying in the Xbox camp until I have a reason otherwise. Yeah, I'm excited about some of these big titles. They got new leadership, we'll see. I'm definitely still team Xbox. I agree with you. It's going to be one choice though. This future, if you want to count Nintendo in there, I still, the Switch has been perfect. I leave it on my headboard to play 10 minutes before bed or something. I'm definitely not going to be in the market for a Switch 2 anytime soon.
Yeah, me either.
Even
I've never
though
played my Switch enough to justify getting a Switch 2, honestly.
Yeah, to me, it's like it's a book alternative. It's like you want to read a book before bed, or you want to play a little Pokemon before. It's not like I need to have that in my living room type of deal. So yeah, between Xbox and PlayStation, I'll stay team Xbox. Unless more information comes out, but it's interesting what we're seeing with these console wars. PlayStation, pulling back from PC, and now Xbox saying, we're getting back to our roots. It's weird. It's like, did we see this weird merge of all the cross-platform stuff, and now everyone's going to go back into their own camps and put their spears and shields back up, and so we'll see what happens. But no, I'll stay with Xbox for now. For sure.
Loyalty to the green. I respect it. Nick, you might have stepped away when I asked, but basically just talking about the consoles, all of them across the board increasing, with Helix expected to be around 15. Who knows what Steam Machine will be, but PS6 possibly being lower, but the current PS5 all jumping in prices as we discussed. How do you feel about that, and where do you think you'll be planting your flag this upcoming generation? Or what do you, I should, ask that same question is, what do you think your next console purchase will be?
Have you ever heard of the city of Troy, CT? It was fell in a night by a select group of Greeks and a Trojan horse.
What did you go do right now? You came back, gave them Greek philosophy. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I believe we're seeing the same thing. I believe the Helix is the Trojan horse that will fell the Sony empire that has reigned for so long. No, all jokes aside, man. I honestly, I do.
The real Trojan horse is going to be the Steam Machine. Let's be real.
Yeah.
That thing it's just hiding and waiting for its moment to topple the blue and green. And whatever color scheme they choose will be king.
It 100% has the capability to do so. I'm with Dave. I made the joke with the price increases about getting my HDMI fixed and flipping it. But it's
you need to fix it so you can play Staros.
That's the thing, man. Like, it's just that game does look great, but PlayStation, their exclusives aren't all that, like, to me. They're not. God of War is great, dude, but like, what else?
Let me go play Crimson Desert to have a
What else?
baseline story and
I
not have
I need
real intellectual gaming.
I need you to name
I'm just
me
kidding.
the last PlayStation exclusive other than God of War that you have loved.
The Last of Us. You didn't like The Last of Us? Or did
That
you not
was
play it?
that, I honestly didn't give it a full swing, but I did hear people love that. So
Well, you
okay.
also loved Horizon as well. Remember, you were a big Horizon guy. I never got into the Horizon franchise, but I understand the appeal for sure.
I messed around with it for a little bit. I did fall off of that game. It was all right too. It was
And there's one game where I know you two would both be in love, and that's Returnal, which is what is kind of like the successor to it is Sorrows. But it's
I
kind of,
just don't
Dave has
know.
an excuse. You, sir, have none.
Yeah. No, I just don't know if that's enough. Like, I feel like something is going on
Wolverine
with Sony, honestly.
coming up soon too.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I
We'll
would.
see.
That's
Sorry, this is gonna dilute into a bad show if we keep it up. We're
Yeah.
getting deep in there.
No, I
Sorry.
just like
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man.
I know the
yeah. That
I know like it's the AI chips that's driving it up, but it
Yeah.
just seems like Sony is shooting themselves in the foot left and right recently.
You're right.
Just
I mean,
from
they
a
just closed
PR
down
standpoint.
Dark Outlaw Studio. You're 100% right. And after sleeping on it and thinking about it, I think that going away from the PC might not be the best option. Like it was a good growth opportunity, but I think these continuous failures in their leadership is showing it's rearing its ugly head from when they went to that live service path. Like they never released Last of Us Factions. Concord speaks for itself. No one's even talked about Fair Games again. I think that's going to go away and they're going to write it off as a tax write-off. Honestly, I think we'll never see that game see the light of day. Marathon did not, as much as I love it, did not reach what they were hoping it would become.
Right.
So you're like, I know again, and I know you guys are the same way. We're like, we're PlayStation loyalists, Xbox loyalists, but when they mess up, we let them know the truth. And like right now, I'm just not impressed. And I think if it was any other company other than Sony, I think this was they will survive just based on merit alone and their third party push out of the games that are coming out. But
yeah,
and again, they do have some first party stuff dropping soon. But like right now, and I didn't mean to cut you off, and I want you to jump back in, but it's like I definitely see like the cracks in the armor are showing themselves, and you're right, like then a price increase, and it's like Soros and Wolverine and all these games you have in the docket better just be amazing, or you're gonna have some trouble on your hands because people are getting frustrated. And as we stated, the new generation is right around the corner now. As much as I started out as I loved Xbox, that was a big part of my gaming life, but like I do think the evil empire that's going to conquer I wouldn't call them evil, but the empire that's waiting around the corner. It's that, like going back to, you use Troy, but like the Roman Empire is standing there, right? And then these Germanic tribes are just circling it. That's what I think that we're looking at Steam. And I think they're just waiting, man. And they might fill this audience that is hungry for a bunch of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. But like to your point, I think PlayStation is not without fault and it is experiencing fault and it doesn't communicate, which is a strength and a weakness. And then Xbox right now is in the upswing with new leadership and all these changes, and then announcing their showcase that we're with not only their showcase during Summer Games Fest, but with a Gears of War E-Day follow-up developer direct that I know all three of us are excited about. So. But keep going, man. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to jump.
No, you're good. I mean, but it brings it full circle to your question is for me, it's going to be Xbox Helix because you look at all of these things and the price point is going to be through the roof for any device. So I think if other people are paying attention to this, that's why I brought up the exclusives as well, is because ultimately you have all these different things going on, a couple different studios getting shut down. What are people going to be able to play more of what they want to on at that price point is what it's going to come down to. I think ultimately, if it is these insane prices, I think if people are, I don't think Sony's going anywhere by no stretch of the imagination, but if the Helix comes out and it offers twice the amount of games, you know,
Do you
ultimately,
see a future where maybe they pull their exclusives back just to their console and PC? Do you think that's a possibility?
who will that
Xbox.
PlayStation?
Xbox. No
Oh, that
Xbox.
they pull them back?
I do.
Yeah, I could see it as well because, like I said, the change of leadership happening, and I think that if they want to deliver a blow to Sony right now, or with the Helix
Continue on the
drop,
goodwill train they're on right now. You're right.
yeah, I mean, it would just make sense to be like, okay, this is our opportunity to kind of reclaim some ground. And look, you could buy the Helix and play all of our great exclusives and play all these PC games, or you could buy a PlayStation and only play their exclusives, and you're going to pay the same for both of them. You know what I mean? Then I think the average gamer is going to potentially go to Helix. And there's still a lot more to come with what's all going on with it, but I could tell you as of right now, I'm still in the Xbox camp, and barring any new news that comes out.
So looking into the future, depending on what we're going to see with these prices, where I'm looking, depending on if we're just going, you only can choose one. I'm leaning way more towards the Steam machine, and that just depends on if that relationship continues with Xbox. Um, Now, if Helix has a Steam storefront on it, then I will probably shift over to the Xbox Helix, where I think if they go this route and if PlayStation 6 is the cheaper alternative with plus the handheld addition to it, that's where I think it gets more into that Switch market. You know what I mean? Like a more powerful next gen Switch, but with the PlayStation branding on it, which I think will still make it probably even more successful, even if you feel like most gamers might migrate over back to Xbox. But so to answer your question, I think it's a little dual side. I think my next console purchase will be the Steam machine. I think I've come to terms with that just to broaden my gaming knowledge and be able to jump into these betas that I want to jump into certain games for. You know what I mean? But it's all via that, and it's like having that PC experience on the couch will be amazing. But then I would have to wait. Well, it also depends what that price point is for the Steam machine and when it drops. Now, let's say this: if Steam machine and Helix drop at the same time, I'll go Helix. But if they all three of them drop at the same time, I will probably find myself going to PlayStation 6 just because of what is already there. And what we've always stated, my existing gaming catalog
Yeah.
is heavily built in PlayStation. So I
And
have
your
that loyalty
trophies
there.
and all that. So it's very hard to leave a console.
Yes. And
You
to
know.
your point though, but it depends if Xbox gets bold and decides to pull their stuff back and go back to basics, but also it adds the additional Steam storefront and how that looks and how that is
Yeah.
accessible,
It's
then
hard to
that's
pass up.
huge.
Yeah.
It's like loyalty be damned. I think you guys would be the same way if PlayStation 6 is every single thing you wanted out of a console. You're like, yeah, man, I have this huge catalog here at Xbox, but like, dude, I can't say no to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, it's talking price points. We all have bills to pay. We all have a bunch of other stuff going on besides our hobby. So it's like, do I spend $1,500 on this Helix or $600 on a PS6? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you got to ask yourself that important question as well. So we're in the wait and see moment. We'll see where all this goes. We'll see if the RAM shortage changes at all with AI. I think Sora just got closed down, I believe. So that I don't know if that'll help it through OpenAI. Them all buying out all the RAM, but we'll see where this next generation's going. I'm sure more things will. Yes, I think more things will leak. More information will come out as we go, and I think there is exciting things to look forward to with everything, though. We still have the Steam machine that's supposed to come out this year, which we're excited to see what that looks like, all the specs. Xbox, we already alluded to, has a showcase coming up later in June where a bunch of stuff's going to be with Summer Game Fest right around the corner. And just this month, we have Pragmatis, Soros, and Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred dropping, which is, me. But I think I've decided I might sit on Lord of Hatred and hit Soros when it drops because I'm actually getting really excited about that. And I think that's what I'm excited enough where I think our audience would appreciate hearing that more than me talking about the Warlock for the 300th time about Diablo. But that's a story for another time. And boys, I think we put a nice bow on this great episode. Again, I said this at the top of the show. Thank you all for our last one hitting over 100 views. Everyone jumping in the comments. I just saw some more comments popping into it, and I'm gonna, we'll make sure we respond and talking to those crews. And we are going to make sure a lot of our episodes are going to be live on Spotify over the next couple days. So make sure you're checking us out there. You can put us in your ear on the go, but just help us continue to grow. We are new to this. We're learning. We're trying to get our voice, but growing with you guys and those comments help us. Again, challenge us like you did about my take on the Crimson Desert campaign. It made me think about it a little more. So we just appreciate the audience that we're building. We hope you guys stay with us. Make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, and just engage with us. We're gonna go live. We try to go live every single week. We're mostly hitting Thursdays, so we'll make sure we're getting into that community a little bit more and making those posts. But Chip, Dave, I appreciate the hell out of both of you guys. Look forward to some gaming this weekend. Hope you guys have a wonderful Easter weekend. Nick, I'm looking forward to us spending Sunday and Saturday, this whole weekend together, actually. So it's gonna be a nice little fun family time as well. And then you will sneak away and play marathon with Dave when no one's looking. But appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Y'all take care, and everybody always remember, keep grinding, keep gaming. We'll see everyone next week. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.